Croeso sianel Blaid Llwyd. Yes, we're far beyond the world again, and somewhat far beyond Tiernan, as we left Rannoch and Sam in Strandbad. So I don't really have too much to say to the intro. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one. Just my schedule meant I couldn't get everything done as soon as I wanted. So let's get right into it. True to her word, Sylpha Ranger has to be woken up with a persistent knock. Master Wolf, I was told to interrupt your slumber at the approach of the third hour.
Thank you.
It's 10 already? I mumbled to myself incoherently. In truth, it feels like we're being woken at daybreak, but I know it not to be true, as that's exactly when we finally hit the hay. I'm tired and sluggish. The only thing that forces me out of the bed is the importance of the task at hand. Rannoch's diplomatic mission and a potential goodbye or last moment Hail Mary. Either way, I'd kill for a cup of coffee right now. The chill of the room helps to put the skip into my step all the same. I use water from a pitcher to splash my face while Rannoch dresses up. Getting ready and out the room is almost an insurmountable task, but eventually I get dressed and we're on our way. As we descend the rickety stairs towards the main hall to order some breakfast, I finally look to the wolf in somewhat more alert fashion. So, what's the plan?
Well, before we head to the magistrate, I want to show you around the city.
Do we have time for that?
Oh, I don't see why not. As long as we get there before noon, it should be fine. I want to give you a small taste of what Strandbad has to offer.
Including the eponymous inn? I asked hopefully, remembering what he said yesterday.
Well, especially the inn. There's always some famous singstrel there. It's almost like a holy site to their kind. But first I want to take you to the market. We need to buy you some new things, and that's always also where my original adventure started.
A young pup smelling of forest herbs. I take an idle sniff of his fur, my nose immediately filled with the so familiar scent of the woods. Fuck, even now I still can't help but pine for that wolf. We struggle for a while to find a free table, as the inn is tightly packed with guests. One of the waitresses tells us to wait next to a couple that's about to finish their meal. Looks like the entire city is having their breakfast here.
One of the few things tigers and us have in common. They eat together in taverns and inns, as most houses don't have kitchens. Apparently it's a fire hazard.
Makes sort of sense. In a tightly packed place like this, a single house could take down half the city with it. I conclude. Within a few moments, we're ushered to a table. The little dough girl wipes its surface clean. I can't see Sylph anywhere. I guess after such a long shift, she's allowed a day off. My stomach is still quite unsettled, so I order a porridge with bacon, which I saw some of the patrons enjoying, while Rannoch treats himself to roasted ham and eggs. Food arrives quite promptly, considering it's the morning rush, and I smile and wonder if so many new faces coming in and out of this place. I have to admit, during the day it looks much more inviting.
I told you Strandbad is safe.
While Rannoch happily indulges in some ale he seems to be quite fond of, I stick to Tissan. Yesterday's dream lies heavily on my conscience, no matter how much I want to forget about it. I don't feel good keeping this stuff to myself, but at the same time I'm done being brushed off each time I try to open up. And again, our situation is very much in the air. This might come across as me simply trying to emotionally blackmail him, which is the last thing I want to do. If he changes his mind about this whole fiasco, I want him to do it on his own. And if he does that, there'll be time to talk about the cosmic fart that's been harassing me.
I know you keep saying you're okay, but you very much don't seem so.
Sorry, that's miles away.
Exactly.
I groan in mild annoyance. It was just a bad dream I no longer remember. I'm bound to have a few considering you might leave me here.
I guess.
His expression turns and he locks his sad eyes into the food before him. I just focus on the meal. The sooner out on the town, the more distracted I'll be from everything that's currently going on. As I'm scooping the last portion of porridge, I jump up, as so many other guests do, startled by the sudden slam on the door. A young, well-dressed tigress stands in the entryway, heaving heavily and pointing a dagger-like finger at the innkeeper. "Father!" she cries out in this typical spoiled princess sort of way. "I ran here as fast as I could. I didn't even get to change."
Now, sweetie, I'm working."
"Yes, now." She stomps her foot, drawing the attention of the entire room to the barkeep's dismay. "I've been to my new house and they've lined out the perimeter of the garden, 10 paces wide. 10 paces! Have you gone completely senile?"
"Honey, it can wait."
"No, it cannot. I won't be made a laughingstock for the entire town."
"Well, 10 paces is more than enough for a garden."
"To whom?" Her voice is getting higher and louder, beyond what I thought even possible. "It would be cruelty to keep a horse in there. You couldn't even host a decent orgy in that thing." I spray out my cup of herbs directly into Rannoch's face, choking violently on the droplets that found their way to my lungs. The wolf, ignoring his now wet muzzle, rushes to my side and pats me on the back as I try to regain my breath. "For fuck, I'm so sorry," I gasp, barely able to take an inhale.
"What the hell happened?"
I take a discreet glance across the room, seeing the mental outburst drew pretty much everyone's attention, including the barkeep and his daughter. Brushing me off to a simple choking instant, they return to their spat. The owner leads his daughter to the back room and the counter is taken over by one of his staff. I don't think the word orgy means the same thing here as it does back home. Otherwise I doubt she'd be talking about it with her father. I whisper to Rannoch discreetly, trying to keep a straight face while he wipes his muzzle dry.
"What do you mean?"
The wolf tilts his head helplessly. I take another sip to calm down my aching throat.
"You know, like yesterday."
"And more specifically?" "That gangbang with the hyena?"
"What's a gangbang?"
He blinks, goes to my complexion to change at least a few hues on the red scale. "That group that went upstairs. Do I have to spell it out for you?" I utter a barely audible whisper.
"Oh, that. I was confused what that had to do with an orgy, but I understood your implication."
"What do you mean?"
"A Tigeri orgy is just a lavish, decadent party. No sex involved. Not as far as I'm aware."
I hide my burning face in my hands.
"The humans copulate at parties? Is that something common in your culture?"
"What? No!" I exclaim in horror, yet again drawing the attention of the other guests. Fuck me, this is really embarrassing.
"Well, I don't mind if it's something your kind does."
He winks, raising his brow in that taunting fashion.
"As I said, I'm quite interested in broadening my horizon."
"Okay, shut up. This conversation is over." The wolf smirks, clearly glad he's ruffled my feathers, judging by his wide swings of tail. Eventually the barkeep comes back, escorting his still disgruntled but somewhat pacified daughter out of the door. I guess she got away in the end. How big is 10 paces anyway, I wonder? On his way back to the counter, Rannoch waves the barkeep over.
"Yes, Master Wolf, was everything to your satisfaction?"
"Oh, good." Rannoch responds, putting down a plate he just licked clean. Damn. For some reason, seeing him use that tongue sends tingles down my spine.
"Anything else I could do for you today?"
"Yes. How much for him live here for 1 year?" He asks crudely, and I blink, my improved mood totally gone by this very harsh reality check. We're still looking for a way for me to stay here safely away from the turmoil in Tiernan.
"Oh, well, that's a tricky question, Master Wolf."
The pudgy male grimaces, looking as if seeking an epiphany in the ceiling. But his livelier than usual paw rubbing reveals he's just devising a way to squeeze as much coin out of us as possible. Thankfully, Rannoch cut short his theatrics with a heavy paw plop on the table.
That's enough.
It reveals 2 sizable golden discs with various emblems and inscriptions. 2 talents? Why, my lord, for that price I'll accommodate this youngling in the best room I have. Are we really doing this? I mutter in a mix of disbelief and resignation.
What other choice do we have?
He responds solemnly, completely ignoring the innkeep still standing at our table. The tiger toys impatiently with his fingers, licking his lips at the sight of the glimmering bullion just outside, slightly out of the reach of his paws.
Tiernan is not safe anymore.
What am I supposed to do? Sit here for a year? If you won't return, then what?
With luck, your memory returns, and before the money runs out, you can travel home.
He shrugs, our otherworldly conversation clearly not sinking in just yet.
I'll leave you enough coin to keep you going. It would be best if you'd find a job, earn some additional money.
Find a job? How? I scoff mockingly. This idea grows more ludicrous by the minute. I don't have any trade skills. Improvising an imaginary new life is exactly more reassuring to me than doing what we did so far in Tiernan. The wolf sighs heavily and finally addresses the impatient innkeep.
He get a job here, in town? Easy? Hard?
Doesn't look much of anything, Master Wolf. The tiger, though eager to please, looks at me dismissively. What trade has he practiced? See, I told you so. I bump back into my chair, crossing my arms in a petty triumph.
No trades. He young, smart. He learn.
With all due respect, Master Wolf, he seems rather old for anyone to take him up as an apprentice. And even if he's lucky enough, he wouldn't see any pay for at least a year or so. Perfect. So from a slave at one place to a slave at another. I snigger.
Stop it. I'm trying my best.
The wolf grumbles and addresses the tiger again.
Work here. Serve like bunny. Clean.
He points to the waitress scampering about. Even before the barkeep retorts, I can see there's much more demand in the job than Rannoch makes it out to be. I'm fully staffed, I'm afraid. My girls are well paid and well trained. Unless one drops dead, I don't believe I'll have an opening soon.
So, no way he can earn money?
Well, there might be some, Master Wolf. The pudgy tiger rubs his chin. Is he a singer? Got any good voice on you, lad? As good as anyone bathing in the morning or taking a piss in the woods. If your intention is to have me perform as a singstrel, I'm afraid that's not what fate had in store for me.
Honest and eloquent.
The innkeep laughs and pats his rounded belly. In all fairness, I don't find it funny. I've seen how he treats the bards.
Well, not everything's lost, I believe.
You're a human, quite young-looking with taut, fair skin.
These folk around you tend to gravitate towards the exotic.
He winks at me in some sort of imagined understanding. I give him a puzzled look. The male simply nods towards the corner of the room, where I spot the tigress from upstairs. She's seated at the table, smoking away at her pipe, engaged in a rather rushed courtship with the first customer of the day. Content that I've spotted my quarry, the barkeep then nods towards the other side of the hall, where the same tribal hyena from yesterday is wooing a large lion, whose paws disappear beneath the loincloth of the youth. They're all whores. I'm getting incredibly flushed at the realization. The innkeep smiles at us coyly. Your master surely understands how it goes. After all, he chooses his company wisely. I'm sorry, I don't think... I blink if the tiger continues if it were the most natural thing. You could earn a good coin. With my best room, you could entertain the highest clientele. Of course, I'd have to take a cut. Let's say 2080. I think that's fair. Rannoch looks at me with equal confusion. His muzzle also betrays hints of disbelief and outright horror.
Please tell me this tiger isn't saying what I think he's saying.
I'm pretty sure we're on the same page here, Rannoch. I grumble in annoyance and don the most fake smile I can possibly muster. Are you trying to pimp me out, sir?
Careful, Tiger. Less words needed to honour battle.
Rannoch clenches his fist.
What's the matter? The boy has no skill, nothing to kill time with.
The only asset he has is the one he sits on.
Let's be practical. Why not use it? He no ho.
The wolf growls, slamming his fist against the table. Why such language? The innkeep smiles goofily or decide to wet my parched lips in Rannoch's cup.
I would call him a professional companion.
I choke on the ale, spurting it around as some of it went up my nose. I've been called that before already. Seems I was truly settling into my role with Rannoch.
He could be a master at it with proper guidance. I mean, if you were able to entertain such a bulky specimen like yourself, you'd manage most of what we have here, no problem. Enough! Speak more and I take your fangs.
I shudder, startled by Rannoch throwing himself to his feet, looking at the tiger with murderous intent.
I'm only saying it would be a cushy life for him. If you grew tired of him, no longer required his services, I can take him in. And should some of my customers prove too much, he could always stretch on vegetables from the kitchens.
Immediately I look at the bowl of porridge I just ate, thinking of yesterday's stew. I'm going to be sick.
Tell this tiger to go fuck himself or I bash his muzzle in, and we both end up in prison.
I nod, covering my mouth and trying to settle my stomach. Once done, I face the barkeep with another fake smile. I think you have us mistaken, good sir. My master extends his warmest gratitude, but we're inclined to look for an alternative. Now, if you please, we'd like to be left alone. The stocky male is hesitant to leave, looking anxiously at the golden coin slowly slipping away from his grasp.
But I thought...
You thought wrong. I say more sternly, to which he finally concedes.
Very well, but should you... Go! Now!
Please. The male sighs in defeat, clearly puzzled by this outcome, but bows gracefully and trots back to his station. Rannoch also exhales heavily and gives me a slightly aggravated look.
I understand Tigera, you know.
Yes, there's not much to be gained in throwing threats around, is there? Especially not with an armed company who started taking notice of our disagreement. I nod towards the bar where two city guards chat cautiously, taking alert glances in our direction. Besides, considering how chatty the barkeep is, we wouldn't want him to have some unflattering tales to spin, right?
Ugh.
He groans in annoyance, sitting back and pushing away his bowl, casting his troubled gaze into the far side window. I do the same, chasing away the idea that I might have been ingesting a hyena-flavoured carrot the previous day, and extend my hand to place on his arm. Rannoch, I know you want to fix things, and you always want to do that in one fell swoop. This cannot be fixed. Not like this. I reason, trying to draw his attention. He only closes his eyes. If you leave me here, you'd be worried sick, and knowing how close by I am, you'd be tempted to visit, just as much as I'd be tempted to go back. That's who's to say I won't get robbed here. Now you said, I'm not a wolf. I can't cave people's muzzles in. Seeing how much wealth you've shown, they might assume I have an equal share and mug me.
So, it turns out you also don't trust the tigers.
The wolf grumbles, facing me with a half-teasing smirk and attempt to bring back some sense of humour. I don't trust strangers in seedy taverns proposing to prostitute me in exchange for shelter. I shrug. He's already looking for ways to squeeze money out of me by introducing the cut on his imaginary human brothel. He's a con artist. His species has nothing to do with it.
I still can't believe his nerve. Who even suggests such a thing?
Well, I've consumed enough stories in my life to be distrustful of anyone remotely connected with ownership of a brothel. I chuckle, picking up his mug and taking a deep gulp. I don't think any of the tiger's professional companions could have trained anything on it in particular.
Disgusting, decadent Tigeri.
Rannoch continues to sneer in clear contempt.
What else did I expect from such corrupt kin?
I mean, it was kind of funny. I smirk, not hiding some twisted sense of pride in the suggestion.
It was perverse.
You only propose something that you can barely stop yourself from doing.
That's completely different.
He yelps out, grabbing his mug from me and taking a long chug.
I found you wounded on my coming of age. It was a hand of fate that brought us together, not another kin fetish.
Hand of fate, which you're eager to discard now. I circle back to our pending issue and his expression sours. He gives me a pleading look and I decide to let it go. A bunny waitress comes over to check on our drinks and refills Rannoch's mug with a pitcher of ale. I wiggle my empty cup at her and she pours me around too. Might as well have a proper drink, all things considered.
I think he even suggested such a thing. So much for Tigeri culture.
The wolf growls softly, still seething over the exchange. I wouldn't dismiss all the tigers based on one unfortunate interaction.
Any kin that tolerates prostitution is without honour.
I think that's going a bit far. I frown, taking another sip. I'm sure there are wolves out there who do partake in this form of enterprise.
Never. That would be utterly out of the question.
I highly doubt that. Where I come from, it's generally accepted that prostitution is the oldest of trades.
Then perhaps you shouldn't go back where you come from.
He scoffs mockingly, and I raise a brow at him. It's not like I'm desperate to do so. Try as I may, he's the one constantly scratching the issue at hand, and I shake my head. I'm serious. I don't condone the act, but I also don't condemn it. Sometimes people have no other choice. If both parties consent and mutually benefit from the arrangement, who am I to judge?
Perhaps you are a Tigeri after all, considering your liberal views.
I wouldn't say that. I'm just a realist. Circumstances, such as they are, can always change.
I'd rather be dead than offer my body to an unworthy match.
Never say never. There might be factors in play that would bypass your sense of morality altogether.
Is that what you think of me? That I'm capricious and easily swayed?
Hard to argue otherwise when you made a complete reversal on our entire path deal. I decided to allow myself one last low blow before returning back on track. I think people in general, when presented with impossible choices, do make the impossible.
Nonsense.
He snorts in dismissal, which I simply lean in with determination on my face. Or if my life were on the line, the only person who could save me was Tano. And in return for his aid, he demanded you to give him the night he never had. A good tumble like the couple from upstairs had. And what then?
Is that what you do in your free time? Invent ludicrous scenarios involving various members of the tribe copulating?
That comment surprises me, and I spurt out some ale on another failed attempt to take a sip. It does take a moment for me to compose myself and wipe my lips clean. Guilty as charged. I chuckle, partially in jest, but partially because I was perving quite a bit lately. But I'm being serious. Just ask yourself honestly if you'd not abandon your moral code in such a dire situation.
Never.
Even if my life was on the line? He tilts his head in annoyance.
In what mad world would that even be a probable thing?
I don't know. Just humour me.
There's always this trick you do. You keep prodding for answers you're already established in your head.
Not intentionally. It's just a hypothetical.
Just like me killing you if my tree was damaged?
Well, at least then you gave me the courtesy of an honest answer. His eyes widen in slight offence and he releases an exasperated sigh.
Fine. If it's honesty you want, so be it. If such a ridiculous arrangement existed and your life indeed depended on it, I would concede to such a mating. But mark my words, I would make sure Tano only visited in his worst nightmares.
A soft yet foreboding growl escapes his throat, and a shiver rushes down my spine. He's serious, and he's territorial. As much as I'm flattered by the lengths he go to for me, I can't help myself but celebrate an argument won with a confident smile. So, in other words, you would do it.
It's not the same as prostitution.
The wolf shrugs, emptying his mug and looking back towards the window. It kinda is. You offer your body in exchange for service. What I'm trying to say here, don't judge people before you know their circumstance.
I hope your virtue will never hinge on your circumstance. It seems your moral code is of the loosely interpreted variety.
Doubt all you like, but I can see clearly what's going on here. He looks at me in part shock and fright as if called out on a bluff. In truth, that's exactly what I tend to do. This conversation proved to me one thing beyond a shadow of the doubt. You're just angry at the thought of me being physical with others and upset at the prospect of you having to do the same. This is madness, Rannoch. You cannot leave me here. You'll go insane, not because of our joint attachment, but because of what-ifs that began multiplying ever since we left Tiernan. There it is, the look of utter defeat as I force him to fold. His paw is empty, with no more aces left to play. As on cue, one at the table erupts in another round of laughter and cheers, applauding exploits of one of the gamblers, and I smile. He has nothing to say. Deep inside he realizes I'm right. It was game, set, and match. With us both finally arrived on the same page, it's just a matter of figuring out how to get me back home. Home at the cabin in the woods. You know you do have to take me back. I say, look into his saddened eyes, and the wolf flinches.
If I wanted to, as ordered.
Orders can and should be defied when they're insane. I state plainly. I could be a great asset to you here. You can't even speak Tagari fluently enough to meet with the officials on your own. He winters uncomfortably in silent agreement. You'll have to take me to the meeting with the magistrate. Perhaps, once there, we could find a way to prove to your father that keeping me around is a much better idea than dancing to Audrey's tune. Especially if such a thing can backfire.
Not safe.
Where is safe, really? I interrupt him, impatient with the flimsy arguments he clings on to. Do you honestly think I'll survive on my own in this city full of other kin? I'll get robbed, raped, or killed long before the howl can even end. I'm not safe anywhere. Despite how counterintuitive it seems, I'm safest at your side. You know it's true. He takes a moment to contemplate my words, looking into the bright world beyond the window. He's troubled, and I can see that, despite my reasoning finally reaching him, he's still fighting back.
Even it is so. I cannot offer what you want.
The wolf exhales heavily, locking his sad eyes with me. How do you know? Did you ask me what I want? Don't assume things you can't possibly know.
I can only offer half measures, something that's beneath you.
Let me decide that. I state defiantly. Maybe, just maybe, what you have to offer is exactly what I'm looking for.
I can never be officially with you. It would ruin my reputation and put us both in danger.
Do you think I don't realize that? I scoff in amusement at how little faith he has in my emotional state. I'm not Tano. I'm not with you for fame or exposure. I'm with you because I enjoy your company as is. I can be your dirty little secret a whole while longer. I've been one so far, and yet I haven't crumbled.
You say that now, but...
There's no buts. I shake my head. I don't know how I'll feel about this a few months down the road, so how can you? What matters is here and now I'm telling you it's not something I'm overly worried about.
There's also my intended.
He mutters anxiously, and I nod. Maeve.
I must do my duty, now more than ever before. She's not only my intended, but a hinge upon which rests our alliance with Arden.
I know. I've been living with that knowledge for a long while now. I smirk, noticing his surprised expression. I don't see it becoming an issue all of a sudden. I came to terms with your marital status.
And you won't be hurt when the time comes for me to...
The wolf pauses awkwardly, like a child that has to say a no-no, and I smile. I don't know. I give him an honestly indifferent shrug. It's something we can worry about when we arrive at that bridge.
I don't think you actually thought this through. I don't think this would be fair to either of us.
If life were fair, we wouldn't have to deal with any of this nonsense. Yet here we are. Bigotry and prejudice exist. We can't wish them away. I splay my hands teasingly and muster a more serious tone to match my penetrating gaze. I love you. Or, for lack of a better word, I'm in love with you. I say, letting the words hang, and the wolf swallows heavily, placing a paw on my hand. His lips quiver a moment before he parts them and speaks in a shaky voice. I am in love with you too. The more restrained and cautious choice of words betrays he's equally conflicted as I am about this. There's a but incoming. I vocalise my gut feeling and he nods. I just need you to know that I'm not looking for anything serious. We don't have a luxury of becoming truly involved. Of course. I smile at him gently, interlaying his paw with my other hand. I'm not looking for anything serious either. We're kind of all over the place right now, emotionally speaking. And my memory, as jumbled as it is, does come back to me piecemeal. You have your future all set up and I do have to go home eventually. There will be a goodbye at some point. It just doesn't have to be now. I say with a grim certainty, causing the wolf to raise his brow at me. And you're fine with this? Beggars can't be choosers. I shrug teasingly. I've lucked out immensely, all things are considered. You're the only person I know and trust, despite you working hard to help me develop some trust issues. I wink teasingly and he smiles weakly. Perhaps it's too soon to joke about this yet, but I don't care. I want to be with you. I wouldn't trade you for 100 unknowns. Are you sure about this? Yes. I nod, trying to reassure him with a much lighter tone. It could be fun. We could be each other's summer fling. Summer fling? You know, summer comes, summer goes. All off deal to make the most of the here and now. His expression brightens and he bops his head merrily. Yeah, that does sound nice. I could approach our relationship like this, but only if you won't hold it against me. I'll still be on the lookout for a way to safely leave you. I grimace slightly, but then nod, so it does seem only fair. And only if you're absolutely sure you want such a loose arrangement and can deal with the consequences. All right, back at you. I snicker, poking my fingers at him teasingly. So, since we're finally on the same page, to our joint fling? I raise a mug in mock toast and the wolf does the same. To our joint fling. And with a clink we celebrate our new understanding. The walk through the bustling streets of the town is quite refreshing, especially with the much welcome spot of good weather. The ground is still soaked after yesterday's downpour, but at least the warm sun shines in full. The narrow streets are filled with other kin of all shapes and sizes going about their daily lives. It's funny, but it's almost exactly how I imagined it. Everyone's rushing somewhere while others are already hard at work in the ground floor, front-facing workshops. It's an industrious place, that's for sure, with businesses filling every space they can. Despite not a single human in sight, no one pays me any mind. For the first time in my current life, I don't feel like an oddity or a freak. I thought there'd be more tigers about. I point out, despite them being a majority, there's still plenty enough of sylvan folk, wolves, and various other felines. It's really surreal to see so many other kin at once. I told you. Rannoch snickers and I nod. He did warn me. I'm awe-stricken by this place, so different from the sleepy village we came from. It's almost as if I'm reliving his own experience from all those years ago. It feels nice, and the town indeed seems idyllic, with people pretty much obliviously living out their own personal fairy tale. Such a stark contrast to what life on Earth used to be. I mean, I'm sure there were spots like this back in my world. This still very much feels alien. My previous life was much, much different than this. My gaze trails behind a group of pups and cubs, chasing a metal loop down the road. Aww. I bring my hands to my chest, almost melting at the sight. Rannoch wasn't kidding. This is so much different from his tribe. Never understood the appeal of rolling hoops. He shakes his head, forcing a chuckle out of me. Neither do I admit through laughter. It does look wholesome and much more suited for children than military drills. I add, but he doesn't seem too convinced. Again, he never spent an idle day in his life, so seemingly pointless activities must be mind-boggling. As we continue our walk to the city centre, the crowded street suddenly unfolds into a large open space paved with pale stones. At the far end of the square, flanked by massive apartment buildings, is a monumental structure which could only be the magistrate's palace. Holy fuck. I exhale, completely taken aback by the towering marble wall, glistening in the morning sun like a glacier.
Yeah, I had pretty much the same reaction first time I saw it.
How can they build like this?
I don't know. So much stone. It's stacked up so high you might as well live in a cave.
It does beg a belief, almost if the structure itself was suspended from air like a silken tent. Despite the undeniable bulkiness, the building feels light thanks to vast windows, an intricate promenade cutting it in the middle with a belt of white columns. My attention quickly shifts to the market sprawled beneath it. Various stalls fill in the edges of the square, even just enough space for a glorious fountain in the middle. True to its namesake, there's a figure of feline bard playing a harp, stranded atop of a decent-sized pedestal amidst the shooting jets. The sprays of water add another shimmer to this scenery. It finally sinks in how different these two cultures are. Only 80 miles away and yet worlds apart.
See, it's not that bad. Like every place, Strandbad has its least desirable districts, but overall the city is decent.
For sure. I try not to get baited into another commercial for living here on my own. Instead, I focus my attention on the peddlers of all races and creeds, trying to sell their wares. I rush towards the first stand, looking over delicate bottles filled with different essential oils. Anything of particular interest, good sir? A lynx male asks in an expectant tone. Just browsing for the time being. I smile kindly, trailing the labels with my eyes. Lemongrass, coriander, pine, rose, lavender. Are those perfumes? I ask cautiously, expecting another, oh no, you speak my language sticks, but to my surprise none come my way. They can be if young master wishes. The merchant shrugs casually. For a moment I'm slightly stunned.
Please tell me you don't intend to ruin your scent with this crap.
Rannoch mutters, his displeasure clearly painted on his muzzle. I place my hand on his arm. It's perfume.
Crap.
He insists, and by shifting his speech I can infer he swapped Tigeri to embarrass me. I do not sell crap, sir. My oils are the finest products of Lynx Terra.
You have no crap while selling Tigeri nowhere.
I nearly choke at that remark. Can't you see where we stand? Some of those stores could easily double for his cottage. I gently elbow him between the ribs, drawing an amused oof from the wolf. Be nice, I mutter, looking apologetically at the vendor. Please forgive my friend. He isn't used to leaving Tiernan. He and all the other wolves. The lynx scoffs at Rannoch, but quickly turns to me with a kind gaze. At least it's good to see his lack of manners didn't rub off on you, young master. You mentioned there can be perfumes. What else are they good for? Oh, cooking, baking, medicine, laundry. He hastily grabs a small phial of lavender oil. This makes for delicious cookies as well as an amazing clothing freshener. Just a dash in a bucket of water, leave your tunics to soak overnight, and the following day they smell just like a meadow in autumn. He's selling it hard, but I'm not too convinced. Especially since lavender leaves now a rather bitter taste in my mouth. I cannot help it. Now it simply reminds me of that damned unhinged wolf mentally living on a different planet. Being as far away from animals as possible does bring some comfort. Besides, there are things on my mind now. For instance, with Rannoch clearly being able to stand the peddler, it only suggests we're talking in Tigeri. Odd. I was almost certain I'd speak in Lynxian or whatever it's called. This language thing gets weirder and weirder. I noticed a small phial of peppermint just as we were about to leave. As good as the birch is at teeth cleaning, I bet I could whip out a nice mouthwash out of it. How much for this one? An excellent choice, young master. For you, only 55.
I bet you say everyone's same.
Not at all. Never mind. I scold the wolf's exhibits behaviour unbecoming of his station and simply pull him away.
Half a silver for a small file of peppermint? This place is a madhouse.
He protested, which I simply rolled my eyes. You can't be so critical of everything. We don't know how life works here. For all we know, it's a reasonable price.
I begin to think leaving you here unattended might not be such a good idea after all.
It wasn't mine to begin with. I flashed my brows and continued our stroll between the stalls. This place seems to have everything. There's so much going on, colour-wise and smell-wise, that my senses almost feel bombarded. Everything in Tiernan was either green or brown, with distinct forest aroma. But here it feels like one was dunked into a rainbow. Blue glass, red bolts of cloth, even yellow furs, not to mention the spices of every imaginable colour. As I stop at one of the stalls, the flamboyant-looking tiger turns on his heel to face us, daintily spread in his arms. "Ah, my young and well-dressed master, do you see anything you like?" He almost sings at me in a genteel voice, looking over my attire with a gleam in his eye. I forgot how flashy my dress actually is. "Not at the moment, thank you. I'm just browsing." "Oh, but of course you wouldn't. You are a man of far finer taste. Let me take this rubbish out of the way and dazzle you with wares worthy of your sophisticated glance." The male begins to brush away different bolts of cloth, making space wherever he's fetching from underneath the larder. "Really, there's no need. Feast your esteemed eyes on my exclusive items, chiffon, velvet, satin from the far-off Orient. Go ahead, touch it, or you'd be remiss if you didn't." He insists, and I instinctively give in. My hand almost pulls the fabric as if it were magnetic. Wow, that is smooth. I gasp in amazement. "Isn't it just so?" He muses with a gentle smile, joining his hands at the waist. "Indeed, it is of the highest grade. Perfect for tunics, or, if your purse can bear it, it makes fantastic undergarment. It's like 100 gentle kisses planted on your behind." He chirps that last part, drawing a soft blush from my cheeks.
"You want to get yourself something new to wear?"
Rank leans in and asks discreetly, causing me to blink. "Like what?"
"A tunic, perhaps?"
"More silk?" I scoff mockingly and pull my hand away from the outstretched fabric, much to the merchant's dismay. All this stuff looks way too fancy.
"Well, I can afford it."
"The last thing I want is for you to be spending money on me."
"It'll give me pleasure and peace of mind."
"You won't bribe me, nor buy out your conscience." I smirk, challenging at the wolf, to which he flashes his brows in his own tease.
"Well, I can at least try."
Nah, I'm not a patent type of guy. "So, my good sirs." The tiger rubs his paws impatiently, and I respectfully shake my head. "No, thank you. Perhaps another time." I rush Rannoch to move along the stall, and the next one over sports a simpler kind of stuff. Some of these even sewn into actual clothing draped over display mannequins. This one seems a much more reasonable place. A linen shirt tied at the neck. I point towards a particular item that drew my attention. It's simple and comfortable looking. I'd very much like that.
"Oh, so be it."
Rannoch nods with a smile and looks towards a young ferret-looking female.
"A seller, a shirt for a small human."
He speaks in that familiar broken fashion. I cannot help myself but smirk. This won't stop being amusing for quite a while. "Oh, well, hello there." "Nope, nope, nope." The jaunty voice of the previous merchant reaches us. The striped male rushes between the stalls. "This is still me, my good sirs." He gasps for air, shooing the ferret with his hands. "Get away, go dust the mannequins or something." He then corrects the edge of his hood and glides his paw across his fur, looking at me with a charming smile seemingly summoned out of nowhere. "You don't want this thing, my elegant friend. It's cheap and drabby." "Cheap is good," I mutter, both shocked and slightly amused by his persistence. Nonsense, nonsense. I can see by your taste you need something more... something with pizzazz." "Actually, this isn't... Here you go. Chiffon with brocade embroidery. Very stylish. Very much in fashion at the capital now. You will look ravishing in it. The tiger plops a bolt of shimmering fabric, intricately intertwined with golden threads forming floral patterns. First, I'm dazzled by the quality of the material. When I see the merchant bite his lower lip lustfully, I snap out of the charm. He's after our coin. This feels a little bit too much. Too much? My fabulous friend, there's no such thing as too much when it comes to personality. Either you have it or you don't. I'm looking for something casual to wear. Casual? The merchant reiterates as if I just said a dirty word. Why on earth would anyone want to look like that? Perhaps because they're not too keen on being a muggin in the making? Oh, please. He brushes me off with a swish of his paw. Who would try to mug you with that hulking bodyguard at your side? Well, he's not I bite my tongue, painfully reminded of the situation I'm in. Point is, he won't be around forever. I just need some regular clothes that blend in. Blend in? He repeats again if I spoke in tongues. No self-respecting person would want to blend in. It might as well become part of the scenery. But, very well. The male sighs in resignation. I'm thankful he finally reads my cues. I can't believe you make me do this. The cover's such exquisite a form with, dare I say it, tablecloth. It's unbecoming. It's too much. His tact must quickly turn into a theatrical display. I'm no longer sure it's just a sales pitch. It might have really offended his sensitivities. The male ruffles through his boxes and then disgruntledly throws the counter new items. But here, have at it. Here, these are some of my simpler wares. A deal. I'd even saying it makes me feel queasy. He presses the back of his paw to his lips and I smile. He's good. I take a closer glance at the fabric. Although less elaborate, it feels deceptively smooth to the touch. Simpler? Silk and cotton. Again I grimace, looking towards something in the back that catches my attention. It's a white shirt, but not pristine so. The fabric looks simple, if not dull, but much more affordable. What about that one? Please, I beg of you, have mercy, my good sir. The male squeals if he's under torture. It would be a crime for me to sell hemp to someone wearing that. He points to my dress. Although I'm starting to get slightly annoyed, it also drives home how expensive a gift it was. In truth, it makes me feel embarrassed how quickly I began to take it for granted. Cotton is as cheap as I'm willing to go, and please don't pressure me further. I have a reputation to uphold. Well, this one looks nice. I finally nod and relax a concession. I like the embroidery. Isn't it just scrumptious? His tone shifts to pure delight. Very in now with this sort of needle. Floral and abstract, very in the season. Do you have it in my size? Oh, for sure. What are you? A size cub 12? 14? He narrows his eyes, scrutinizing my form yet again. Yeah, 14 should do. The tiger clicks his tongue and disappears in the boxes behind his stall. We stand there with Rannoch giving me awkward smirks. I know he understood the conversation, how much praise my figure the tiger forced into our exchange. Before I get too flustered, the merchant re-emerges with the item, which he quickly unfurls. Looks very much like a perfect fit, which makes me so much more aware of how tiny I actually am. Size cup 14, indeed.
Look good.
Rannoch nods with satisfaction. The tiger wastes no time to extend his paw in our direction. That will be 6 silver. I don't know how much that is, but it doesn't sound too bad, considering we paid 3 silver coins for our night's stay at the Broken Keg. Although a shirt alone won't solve my wardrobe emergency. Would you have pants for sale by any chance? I've seen people around in some. I vaguely point to the crowd around us, and the tiger nods eagerly. Of course. What do you like, trousers or breeches? Trousers? I respond exactly sure what the difference might turn out to be, and the tiger has a quick think. To go with your new shirt, I think I have just the thing. He winks and disappears beneath the larder again, only to re-emerge momentarily with a nice brown pair of simple-looking pants. Here you go, feel it. He insists and I glide my hand across the fabric. It's soft and slightly fuzzy, definitely warmer than walking in just a dress. Well, they feel nice. Don't they just? He smiles almost perversely and Rannoch raises his brow.
How much?
10 silver.
Why such much?
Rannoch's startled reaction makes me think it might be more than we bargained for. However, the merchant stands his ground, seemingly almost offended. Dear Wolf, this is the finest of dyed flannels. With little to no fur down there, the human will need the softest materials to avoid burns and bruising. And now I'm publicly embarrassed yet again. As much as jaded as that point was, it's hard not to agree with it. Yeah, that does make sense. Can we afford it?
We can. That's not the issue here. I think he's a swindler.
It is of good quality. I don't think I've ever worn pants that nice. I bop my head to the piece of clothing and the wolf nods with a sigh, facing the impatient merchant.
14 for both.
That would be 2 silver short.
14.
I tell you what, for a whole talent I'll add this lovely tunic. He points to the previously petaled silken shirt. The neckline is much shorter and less revealing, sewn for an actual male. And he called it. I am wearing a dress. To be fair, as much as I hate reaching into Rannoch's pocket, having one more thing to change into wouldn't be a bad idea. Besides, it is pretty. I finally concede in agreement. Do you see the embroidery? It follows the sleeve like so, woolen twill with silk woven throughout.
Do you really like it?
Rannoch tilts his head, measuring both me and the tunic. I do, but this seems a lot of...
We take.
Excellent. The tiger clasps his hands and raises them to the sun in mock thanksgiving. What a joy making business with you. Let me pack that up. We wait till the tiger grabs some linen rag and packs everything tightly inside, wrapping it safely and securing it with a cord. Here you are, my lords. I hope these garments will bring you luck and much enjoyment. Once he passes the parcel we give him his due, we take our leave, with Rannoch carrying my shopping under his arm.
Happy?
You really didn't have to.
Well, I wanted to.
He shrugs.
Anyway, you needed something new to wear.
Be fair, what I really need is actual shoes. I wiggle my left foot. But so far, I don't think there are any. I splay my arms. All I can see is jugs, glassware and clothing. Shoes? Not so much.
Well, your kind might not be mythical creatures out here, but not exactly common either.
True. I mumble with worry, realizing that getting the one thing I desperately need might not be as simple as I originally thought. We meander between the stalls and look out for the one item that would complete my attire. It's increasingly hard now to get distracted by the bustle of this place. It's a simple market, but it's as vibrant as a kaleidoscope, so much different to Tiernan. I stop, hearing the energetic calls from the nearby stand. It's awfully crowded and the gathered seem to be dazzled with the show. Come, my friends, witness the magical wonders of the mysterious land of Wai. What's this? Ask idly, only to have Rannoch shrug it off.
Another peddler.
I won't have a look. I mutter, approaching closer and pushing between various people until I reach the stall. There, a big rounded tiger splays his arms over an array of different containers with colourful dust and powders inside of them. Smell this enchanting aroma of incense and sandalwood. He fans his paw above a small plate, where the scented substance chars merrily, spreading its subtle aroma. It reminds me of many manly perfumes sold back on Earth. Let me dazzle your eyes with cold fire and tempt you with the medicinal wonders of Ashari herbs. He continues, dusting something over the incense, causing a small show of sparkling and glittering fireworks, followed by a yellowish fume. He's good. Very good. Other bystanders seem to agree.
Oh, yes, young master, you too, I see, are drawn to the unknown.
I jitter in surprise as the tiger points me out from the crowd. I was wondering if you have any tea.
Oh, tea? Why, seems you know more of the world than most. But tea is for those dim-witted Felinians who buy anything you sell them. No, young master.
He shakes his head theatrically.
I only have the finest of chais. Here, sniff it, sniff it.
He urges, scooping a handful of dried leaves from the box.
Don't be shy. Invite it to your nostrils and let it tantalize you with the exotic aroma.
Oh, that smells amazing. I gasp out, very much enthralled by the scent.
And it tastes 1,000-fold so.
The tiger proclaims, turning on his heel and grabbing a small steaming pot from the back counter. He pours a tiny bit onto a saucer and passes it to me.
Yeah, just a courtesy sip.
I eagerly nod in gratitude and bring it up to my lips. The warm tea hits my tongue like a lover's kiss, and almost melts at the lovely earthy aroma. It also latches onto an echo of something lost in the void between the worlds, and I cannot resist the nostalgia. Oh God, I've missed it so much. This has to be the best tea I've ever had.
You heard it yourself, folks. This well-travelled human himself attests to the genuineness of my wares.
The tiger wastes no time to proclaim his triumph, and soon he's flooded with offers, people squeezing in between us and trying to buy their own share of this delightful tea. You think we could fit this into our budget? I take this opportunity to utter a discreet question to my guardian.
Oh, sure, I'll buy anything you like.
I smile in gratitude, waiting for the merchant to be free from his current customer. Once a window of opportunity presents itself, I push through and draw his attention with a nod. How much for that small box, good sir?
That'll be half a talent. What much?
Rannoch exclaims the much diminished shopping enthusiasm that gathered.
Half a talent.
The tiger reiterates confidently and Rannoch scoffs.
A dried leaf.
He turns to me with a bemused expression.
Come on, Sam. This is obviously a con. I can find you some bushes like that in the forest.
Rannoch, that's tea. I cross my arms, looking with slight pity. It wouldn't grow in this climate. As much as I like to unwind with you sharing a mug of ale or a flagon of wine, I need to have something else to drink.
Seriously?
He frowns, throwing his aggravated gaze at the unassuming box. Can we afford it or not?
Well, that's not the point.
The wolf sneers.
For half a talent, I can buy you an entire barrel of the finest Tigeri stout.
Like I said, I don't want to be drinking just booze or water. If you end up following through with this mad plan of yours, it'll be something nice to remember you by.
Are you sure you want to spend that much money on a box of leaf shreds?
His unconvinced expression forces me to double-guess his purchase. I look to the merchant once again. How many cups is in there?
If you use a spoonful each pot, then I'd say 20 to 30 servings.
And a pot is like, what, 4 cups? I guess, to which the tiger nods.
That it is, young master.
Rannoch, that's like 2 months' worth of tea. I'll pay you back. Here, you can even take your token.
I don't want you to pay me back.
He scoffs in a clear display of offence.
I just think it's a waste of money. I'd buy a damned golden carriage if you asked me to.
Well then, you'll be happy to buy me a bag of leaf shreds. I wink, trying to ease him a little. I don't need a golden carriage. I don't need tea either, come to think of it. If he wants to buy me stuff, I'd rather he buy me stuff I want. However, I'd be a fool not to heed some of his reservations. I face the merchant with a slightly apologetic gaze. My friend seems unconvinced when it comes to your offer. Perhaps if you were to sweeten it a little? Especially considering the business I've trumped for you. I bobbed my head towards the still animated crowd.
What would you have in mind?
The tiger raises his brow. I've had some nice tisanes while staying at the inn. After all, common herbs come cheap, unlike tea. And there it is, slight smile from the merchant who follows my line of thought.
Perhaps I could part with this small pouch. Which herbs are you after?
Hyacinth or chamomile? Valerian root, perhaps? I tried to recall the one Sylph recommended for calming nerves.
Ah, you're an anxious type. Well, I have a good mixture for that. I can add it to the order.
I'll be much obliged. By the way, I was wondering if you could help me, good sir. I speak up as Rannoch concludes her transaction. My feet need covering. We humans wear shoes. It's a type of footwear.
Well, I know what shoes are, lad.
Oh, please forgive me. I smile apologetically. Anyway, since your market has all sorts of stuffs from foreign lands, I was wondering if perhaps there might be a shoe seller nearby? Or a cobbler?
A cobbler? My, that's not a word one often hears.
The male laughs, rubbing his chin.
I'm afraid I have to disappoint you, lad. There are no humans living in these parts. I don't have any other kin who also needs footwear. But as luck would have it, we quite often have traders and envoys from the Broken Isles passing through on their way to the capital and beyond. Well, Master Leatherworker is known for mending their gear, and I bet you would find help there.
Oh, that would be perfect. Do you know where we could find him?
Him?
The tiger laughs yet again, pointing to the distance.
Sloane has a shop set up in the street following from that corner of the square. You can't miss it. She's always tinkering something at the counters.
Thank you. I nod in gratitude and lead Rannoch in the pointed direction. Seems I might have found a solution to my shoelessness.
Hopefully it won't involve another daylight robbery.
The wolf chuckles, though he's in a good mood, as I keep in mind that we just spent 2.5 talents. I don't exactly know how much money that is, but considering my bond was set at 3 talents, and it would take a ward 3 years to repay it, it ain't little. I take a deep breath of relief once we leave the crowded alleyways between the stores, and into the streets flanking the square proper. Thanks for all of this. I'll put it to good use.
No problem. You deserve a treat after all you've been through.
I smile and gently bop into his shoulder. I enjoy this, as shitty as our situation might be, just walking around town and shopping with you.
A breath of normality after all the craziness, eh?
He snickers softly. I bet it feels more so for you. I add, realising no matter how much I wallow in self-pity, he's the one who went through actual trauma. Facing battle, real battle with real consequence, was as shaking him up to the very core. I've seen bits and pieces of it before, his stoic persona cracking ever so slightly.
Yeah, this place is just as I remember it. Alien, but oh so exciting.
Yep, that's definitely a sentiment I can relate to. I look at the various buildings flanking the streets like cliffs. It's almost surreal considering the living conditions in the Wolven village. Strandbad is really something else entirely. After a short walk down the street, I can finally spot the corner shop the tea merchant mentioned. She's a wolf. I gasp, stopping dead in my tracks and observing the middle-aged female conducting business with some well-off tiger.
Unbranded.
Rannoch narrows his eyes and I tilt my head. A runaway?
Well, most likely. Quite surprising to see one set up shop so close to home.
He shrugs and we decide to approach. By Luna's grace, a Tiernan wolf. The surprised words have a twinge of fear to them. It's been years since we had any newcomers here. What's this? She darts her gaze to me, immediately scoffing at the sight of my collar. Another poor soul indentured. What's he meant to be, a pack mule?
Something like that. Sam!
Rannoch stutters, clearly shocked I've just responded to her in their native tongue. What, it's not like she's going to tell anyone. You speak Wolven? Damn, things back home must be deteriorating faster than I thought.
You don't bear the mark of the weeping moon. Why are you here?
He throws at her a barely disguised accusation, causing the female to raise her brow challengingly. Why do you think?
You're honor from your tribe.
Like thousands of wolves before me and thousands of wolves since. She sighs, dipping her soot-stained rug into some dark paste and returning to the polishing of an ebony piece of armour. Why are you here? If you think of apprehending me, I have to warn you. If you manage to take me on, which I highly doubt judging by your blemish-free armour, the city guards will cut you down before you force me past the gate.
So eager for the tigers to defend you?
At least they're defending those in need.
We're not here to start any trouble. I tried to reassure her, causing the female to stop her task for a moment and give us a second, this time less dismissive glance.
No? Oh, okay then.
She props the rug to the side and rests her elbows against the counter.
Wolves in these parts usually are. What can I do for you?
Well, I was wondering if you could help me with these. I mutter uncomfortably, raising up one leg and drawing attention to my makeshift footwear.
Oh dear, that is a sad state of affairs, my lad. I've seen humans travel 1,000 miles in better shape than whatever that is meant to be.
I was wondering if perhaps you could make a pair of shoes for me.
Oh, of course I could. I'm the best shoemaker in all of Strandbad. You're the only shoemaker in all of Strandbad.
A youthful voice echoes from the depths of a workshop. It's a tiger cub, no older than 12 years of age, bringing a heavy bucket of water.
Shut your yap. Never naysay me in front of a customer.
She bobs her head towards the kid. He must be her apprentice. You taught a tiger our tongue?
My friend and protege.
She corrects him.
The cub wanted to honour me by learning my mother tongue. Who am I to object? There are no elders to demand either of our bloods here. Though I must commend your nerve for calling me out when you've clearly done the same with this wee fella. How come his pink little head is on a spike yet?
I think we're getting off topic. I poke Rannoch into his side. I understand all of this is somewhat new and troubling for him, but I really need shoes, and it's the only person that can help me with that. Please forgive us. It's our first time in Strandbad, and it takes some time to adjust.
I bet.
She gives a reluctant glance at Rannoch, but quickly turns to face me.
So if there's shoes you want, I'd have to measure your feet and create a custom last. The ones I have were made for men twice your size.
Would that take long? I ask, and the female shrugs.
A day or so. Then the actual shoemaking could start.
I'm afraid we're rather short on time, though. Perhaps we could settle for sandals? I propose, which she nods idly.
Yeah, that would work. I could knock out a pair in a few hours if you need them today, which, by the looks of things, you do.
Yeah, how much would that cost?
Yeah, if you're looking for comfort and quality leather, it'll be 8 silver plus 1 extra for priority.
Sounds good. Ronald squints his eyes, wondering if perhaps we're already overdoing it with the shopping expedition. The female quickly dispels my misgivings.
Seems your master doesn't like me.
I find it hard to trust those who turn their back on their people.
Sometimes they're the people who turn their back on you, pup. But you're young and in right company. You'll learn that soon enough.
She straightens up, correcting her apron.
Well then, shall we get going?
Oh, yes.
Come, I'll need to mark out a silhouette for your soles that measure the length of the midpoint of your calves.
The female invites us in, raising the part of her counter that doubles as a door. The workshop, which is fully open to the street at one end, is still quite dim and infused with a leathery scent. Makes sense. After all, that's what she's working with. Various shelves are full of either bolts of leather or tools, while the floor is littered with bits of clothing and armour. There are even 2 fully dressed mannequins sporting quite impressive items. One graphite blue vest with nicely embossed edges draws my attention. My browsing is quickly dismissed by her pointing at a small stool.
Sit down, I'll grab some chalk.
I do as requested, and she returns promptly, putting some thick strap of leather underneath my foot. I watch as the female outlines my feet with extra care, every now and then stopping to correct a slight mistake or check if their profile looks good. Feels awkward, so I decide to break the silence. You're very focused. You've done this before.
You have no idea how many pairs of human shoes I've mended. We're the first large settlement in Daguerre and whatever's out there. Shoes break and need mending.
It makes for good business. There's good business while you're here. Money. Rannoch sneers in a cold, dismissive tone. The female takes no bait.
Does it matter?
Well, I'm just curious.
Someone claimed you aren't looking for trouble. You do seem to be itching for something.
Please forgive him. It's just a touchy subject. I interject, looking at her apologetically, and the female shrugs.
Why should it be? My personal history has nothing to do with him. I winced, looking at Rannoch with worry. Perhaps it's not my secret to spill. But again, who would she share this with? In truth, I hope her own perspective might shed some light on things Rannoch overlooks. He was once tempted to leave Tiernan, but chose to remain. Mistakes were made.
Me not running off wasn't a mistake.
Rannoch nearly snarls, drawing an equally challenging gaze from the female. Me running off wasn't one either. As you must know, I have no secrets. Judging by your gear and shameless crest flashing, and for you're just young, born into position, ignorant and naive. She darts her gaze between his belt and my neck. Fuck, I keep forgetting about the damn collar. I used to live in Lothian. My father was an outer alpha. I lived comfortably and quite contentedly, safe in the knowledge I was matched with the friend I cared for.
Were you in love?
Maybe. She paused, rubbing her chin in genuine confusion. I never got to clarify feelings, as he died young during a hunt. A massive boar charged out of nowhere and gutted him on the spot, and that was that.
I'm so sorry. Is that why you left?
Partially. The female shrugs. It's my father who forced my paw. Once I was freed of my match, he could promise me to whomever. I wasn't of age yet. To cement his friendship with our overlord, he offered me to him. A gruesome, natty-looking old fart with a mean streak and a penchant for abuse.
The disgust in her tone is almost palatable. She quickly sighs it away.
I felt trapped and desperate the closer our mating approached. It was settled for spring equinox. It's a harsh winter that year, probably one of the worst in living memory.
I noticed Rannoch's ears discreetly hone in on her, even though he pretends to be disinterested.
Food was scarce and the tensions were high. One night a group of wolves were caught stealing from the granaries. They got branded and banished. As it happened, one of them was my friend's lover. He was stealing the food for her and her ward. She told me she couldn't live without him and she'd rather be caught trying to leave than stay another day.
I give her a sorrowful look. She remains focused on outlining my feet.
I was there and then I was of the same mind. I'd rather be dead than carry puffs of that nasty tyrant, with nothing keeping me back. I simply left with her the very same night and never looked back.
Don't you miss your family?
Rannoch asked idly, his eyes barely meeting with hers, almost as if he felt ashamed. Not one fucking bit. The female laughs, rubbing her nose and getting up to a pause. I was sixth my father and fourth my mother. I was spared of the both of them. My siblings were massive cunts. I was only good for breeding and securing alliances. Anyway, that's done.
She points to my feet and I get off the stool. How much will it be?
9 silver.
He rummages in his purse and passes the coins to her. She gives him a confused look.
You're paying for it?
Is there a problem with that?
No, just I think most Tiernan wolves would do. Spend money on their wards.
I'm not most wolves.
Clearly.
She mutters with clear curiosity. The exchange is interrupted by a loud, cheerful voice ringing from outside.
Sloan, you mad bitch, stay away from my son. I tire of his picking up his puke to bask from every damn tavern in the city.
A male tiger laughs, plopping his elbows onto the counter.
Perhaps he should learn to pace himself, or simply change the object of his advances. Can you blame the lad for trying?
He almost purrs at her as she leans onto the larder.
Like father, like son,
she mutters seductively.
You both might be felines on the outside, but you're clearly dogs on the inside. You know it, Toots. Anyway, I came to pick up my belt.
Sloan nods and disappears momentarily beneath the counter.
Here you go. I did some reinforcement around the latch.
She pops onto the top with a loud thud. The male inspects it with a smile.
Should hold you if you continue to bloat like a frog.
Yeah, fuck you too, Sloan.
In your dreams.
Well, there you go before the missus becomes too annoyed. I'll see you later, and stellar work as always. You seem to fit right in.
Rannoch comments. It's hard to discern whether he meant as a compliment or an insult. Anyone fits in Strandbad.
She shrugs, which the wolf nods toward me. Even him?
Especially him. And I guess hounds don't come with the baggage of prejudice to contend with. If anything, the tigers feel pity for them. They seem fond of the buggers.
I grimaced slightly. Although a nice sentiment at face value, I don't like getting special treatment because I'm an endangered species.
It's almost like those annoying people who get exotic pets because they look cool.
Right.
Anyway, were you a leather worker before you left Tiernan?
I offered a change of subject.
Seems your work is quite praised. Nope.
The female retorts casually.
All my father needed of me is squirting out pups. Wasn't taught any trade back home.
I frown, unable not to think about Cora in this shitty situation she's in.
All I know I learned right here.
Sloane pats the counter of her shop.
I was taken in by a tiger master as an apprentice, and the trade from him, and now I'm slowly taking over.
That's a bit unusual, isn't it? For someone to give up their entire business to a stranger?
His only son died in Euron, fighting the Vulvan Horde, and that boy back there.
She pops her head towards the back room.
His grandson, far too young to run this place. That's where I come in. I'm simply in charge until the boy comes of age.
And he entrusted you with this, even though a wolf kills his son and heir?
And I guess my crest-wearing friend, tigers live in the wider world where one kid isn't treated as a collective. I mean, for crying out loud, there are two Leonine realms in Euron, and they both hate each other.
The female almost laughs, drawing an amused snort from Rannoch. It's like our people get along that much better.
Exactly. You should forget that noise and simply settle here, kid.
She swishes her paws dismissively and looks at Rannoch intently. Well, thank you for your advice, but I'll pass.
I mean it. Daguerre is everything people say it is, and more. We have real freedom here.
Even if I were to believe that, I can't. He replies coldly, only egging her on.
Why?
Because I have duties and responsibilities.
That's what they tell you.
She rolls her eyes and throws her head in the imagined direction of Tiernan.
Mine did use to breed. Yours is to die for the glory of our people. Fuck that shit.
No, it's not that simple.
It very much is.
She insists, causing Rannoch to suppress a growl. Look, I'm sorry your tribe has failed you. I'm sorry you're treated like a spare part. If we all simply take off and leave, there'll be no one left to ensure that things do change.
Change?
She scoffs and blinks in feigned amusement.
Things haven't changed for centuries. The system our ancestors established is resilient to change.
No, that's not true.
Wake up, kid. That false sense of hope is how they get you tricked into following orders, staying in line and wishing for the best.
That hope is all I have. Rannoch looks at her sternly and expression softens.
Why? Why would you ever cling to such a blatant lie?
Because I'm going to lead my people one day, and I have to believe I can do better. Because if I won't do it, no one will. First it seemed she understood his point, but quickly waved her paw at him.
Alphas don't mean anything in the grand scheme of...
I'm not just an alpha. I'm also the future chief.
Moonlit shit, when someone's unlucky.
She utters breathlessly, looking at Rannoch with honest pity. If I don't take my place in the tribe, someone much worse could. I frown with my heart sinking to my stomach. All this time, I didn't even consider how crushing his fate must feel. It's virtually blackmailed in fulfilling his role, regardless of what he wants.
That's fucked up. No one should be forced in such a position.
Sloane voices my inner thoughts.
It's not an enviable one, that's for sure. But on the bright side, you seem to be on the right track. Never thought I'd live to see such an unlikely friendship.
Rannoch smiles softly and nods towards me. Don't mean to be rude, but we have an important meeting to attend to. It would be great if we get this done.
Oh, yeah, I guess we did get slightly sidelined. I've got some orders to finish as well. Are we going simple or extravagant?
She looks at me and my confused expression prompts her to continue.
I wouldn't suggest anything too ornate, but something at least matching the tunic.
Yes, make them comfortable and decent looking.
Of course.
She nods, rummaging through various boxes.
She turns with a small pelt and glides it across my skin. It's hard not to laugh as it tickles. How does this feel? Quite pleasant. Good, we'll go with calf skin then. Sloane smiles and begins arranging various small patches of skins across my calves.
This is quality work.
Rannoch points at one of the mannequins sporting an imposing but light-looking armour set. Yeah, fucking betcha. She laughs. This is the finest leather armour money could buy. I supplied the town's watch, Ambister's personal guards, and even Graki retainers. That's impressive. I nod even though I'm not sure any of that means. Well, apart from the town's watch. Called a master leatherworker for a damned reason.
How much would you charge for it?
Rannoch bobs his head at the mannequin. She just shakes hers. SP's for sale. Made it to order. A similar one? I guess 3-4 talents. That costs without the embellishments and depending on the quality of leather you want.
What if we'd provide the leather?
He proposes idly and the female looks at him in confusion. Who's we?
I'm here on a diplomatic mission. I want to secure trade rights to buy supplies for my tribe.
How much tribe would that be?
Tiernan itself.
Oh, someone's having trouble sleeping because they're northern neighbour. She laughs and I look at her with surprise. You know about Vortigern? Know about him? I grew up near the border of Guldiran. Even if I didn't, the entire heartland's abuzz with that wolf. As much as I can appreciate your plight, I'm afraid I won't be doing business with you.
Why is that?
Rannoch stops admiring her wares and looks to her in surprise. First, I doubt you'll secure anything with Ambister. Ambister? The magistrate. She clicks her tongue. He's not exactly keen on wolves right now, not that he ever was. Secondly, if I'd sell armour to your tribe, it wouldn't be long before the Weeping Moon learns about it. Should your enemy and my former overlord take an issue with that, it wouldn't take too heavy a purse to arrange for an accident. No, I stay away from teen and politics, as any exiled wolf should.
Is such a thing likely?
Rannoch crosses his arms and looks at her in a mixture of concern and disbelief. Why so surprised? I think the tribes are so well informed of the events taking place beyond their forest. The Weeping Moon always crave redemption. Half of them stay in constant contact with their former chiefs, hoping for a pardon.
The spies.
Rannoch concludes. Now I think of it, it does make sense. The wolves who left on their own don't want to go back. Those who were forced out. And thieves, thugs, murderers. Anything they've asked for comes without a price. It would double the zeal and determination money could ever buy. As they say, you don't fuck with a Weeping Moon.
Yeah.
He gives me a more stern look and I shrug uncomfortably. I really need to listen to him more. Right, I'm done measuring. Come back to me in the afternoon around the 10th hour. I'll have your sandals ready by then.
No chance to get them done now.
No can do, Mr. Future Chief Diplomatic Mission. I've got some priority orders, and if I didn't, this would take a few hours at least. One cannot rush a quality work. Either you want good sandals or you want them fast. I can see he shifting his expression. He hoped I'd have proper footwear for the audience. So did I, actually.
Well, thank you anyway. We'll collect them before sundown.
Sure thing. Oh, and good luck with Ambister. Alona knows you'll need it. Rannoch nods in gratitude, and with that guides me to the exit. As we walk back towards the market, I dragged my feet a little, trying to readjust my improvised burlap shoes. Rannoch seems to be deep in thought, and can I blame him? The conversation took a rather heavy turn. But at least now I can be more mindful of the magnitude of the burden he carries. He wants his people to change, and for better or worse, he's the only insurance of that change ever happening. As flawed as he might be, I have no doubt in my heart he truly is best suited for the job. Before I saw his position as that of privilege. Now it seems more like a curse. As Sloane said it, he's one unlucky wolf. You okay? I muttered softly, drawing his attention.
Yeah, it was just a shame to see such talent wasted.
Well, not wasted. I smirk. She seems to be flourishing here.
She should be flourishing at home, praised and respected by her own people, not foreigners.
If only life were that easy.
I sigh in slight resignation. I can't help but think of Cora.
Oh? I look at him in surprise as a deep frown mars the wolf's muzzle. You too made that connection?
How couldn't I? Their situation is almost identical.
Doesn't Cora have an intended?
She does.
He groans painfully.
Some idiot pawns from Manwyn. I saw that wolf a few years ago doing Cora's naming ceremony. Those two did not get along. She'll be discarded once he beds her and puts a pup in her, with no sorrow on Cora's part either.
I'm sorry to hear that. I grimace, getting a much fuller picture of their messed up matchmaking system. It's highly dysfunctional.
I need to figure out a way to set her over that moron, Cullen. I don't understand why he's not taking the bait. Wolves like him should be so lucky to catch her attention.
Perhaps you're the problem, I propose, much to his surprise.
Well, how's that?
You are quite intimidating. Your ruse with Cora gets even me fooled at times. My voice wavers slightly to the embarrassing revelation. You might think you're both in this for the long haul and simply not want to draw your ire, by stepping onto your territory.
Well, maybe.
He shrugs, unconvinced.
Whatever it is, I need to figure something out. The last thing I'd want is for Cora to be forced to follow in that she-wolf's paw prints. I couldn't bear to lose her.
She is sweet. I smile, placing a paw on his arm. I'm sure we'll figure something out. Besides, Cora's more resilient than you give her credit for. She doesn't strike me as someone needing saving.
That I can agree on.
He nods in mild amusement as we come to a stop before the magistrate's palace. Seeing the massive structure tower above me like an iceberg forcing an involuntary heavy swallow.
You ready for this?
Nope.
Just stay quiet and follow my lead.
I nod nervously and tread behind the wolf, stepping through the marble threshold. The hall we enter is spacious, with a complex vaulted ceiling spanning the entire width of the building. Heavy lanterns hang from above on metal chains, while light glistens and reflects on the polished surfaces. The floor is like a puzzle made from various pieces of marble of different colours, guiding your eyes towards the front desk. The desk itself, wooden and sturdy, is crowned with an imposing white statue of a tiger warrior, clasping a great sword and wearing a rather foreboding crown. I barely dare to meet my gaze with the lifeless eyes of what I assume was the Sorcerer King. Beneath him, working with diligence and reverence, a tigress is shuffling documents and wooden tablets. She's so buried in her task she doesn't even notice we've entered. Why would she? We're but a speck of dust floating in the sheer scale of this lobby. Halfway through our approach, we're being cut off by an official draped in a rather ceremonial garment, rushing from one side of the hall and disappearing to another. Seems to be a rather busy place.
Ahem.
Rannoch clears his throat as he rests his paw against the counter, drawing a surprised gaze at the tigress. Yes, how can I help you?
Me see Tiger Chief. Diplomacy. Very important.
Huh? The female blinks, giving us a rather exaggerated, confused expression.
Diplomat. Tiger Chief. Now.
Rannoch reiterates. She only leans back into a chair. Do you mean the magistrate?
Yes, the magistrate. Important greeting. Much diplomacy.
I snort, claps in my mouth in embarrassment. I did not manage to hold that one in. The female hangs her gaze at me for just a split second, herself being quite spellbound by what was said. I'm sorry, but the magistrate is quite busy now. Do you even have an appointment?
What is she on about?
He leans towards me and I whisper back. Yes, you have an appointment.
No.
The wolf responds.
We walk many miles. Just arrived. I bring goodwill of Wolf Clan to Tiger Chief. No pointing needed.
I don't know what to say. The tigress seems to be speechless.
No need for your speech. Just point to Tiger Chief. Tell him me Tiernan diplomat.
I don't know how to tell you. This is not how we do things around here. Okay, Mr. Future Chief Diplomatic Mission. I teasingly paraphrased slow, much to Rannoch's annoyance. Should I jump in or you got this?
Oh, shut it.
He growls softly and plops the heavy chest he's been carrying onto the desk.
Here, serious business.
He unlocks the latch and opens the box, flooding the room with a glimmer of pure gold. What in the world? She nearly hugs the wall behind her, looking around as if to check if she's being pranked. Matteo, oh, thank the Lord, could you please join me for a moment? She reaches out to one of the passing officials and the tiger looks at her with slight amusement.
Lord have mercy, if I knew I'd be running the front desk as well, I'd ask for a raise.
This is serious. The female insists and her colleague just rolls his eyes.
Well, of course it is.
This wolf came with his servant once the Ambister.
So, not the oddest delegation passing through this hall, if you ask me.
That's not the point. The female sneers. He has no appointment, no credentials.
Well, you have it then. Case closed. He can be out on his merry way. Book an appointment for the next month or something. I'm drowning in census reports up to my neck. Don't have time for what appears to be a human trafficking K9.
He gives me a less than pleasant look. Oh, just shut up and look. She grabs the male's vestments to stop him from leaving and opens up the latch of the box. Again, the golden glow floods the room. This time it's the tiger's turn to jump away as if burned.
Holy shit.
Right, well, what do I do?
What do you mean, what do I do? Is he on backwards? Send him up.
But Ambister is in a meeting.
There's a wolf in here from Tiana with what appears to be at least £60 of gold. You ought to send him out through that door. You're insane, girl. This conversation never happened. Don't mix me up in your fuck-ups. I have enough of my own, thank you very much.
Fuck. She groans as her colleague takes his theatrical leave, much to Rannoch's amusement. He sneaks a discreet glance of satisfaction and triumph, signalling to me that he won. For now, Fluff, for now. It's not that hard to get away with bureaucrats when you flash them with a chest full of gold. What is your name?
Rannoch, son of Varrock, Tiernan tribe.
Right, if you please go take a seat, I'll see what I can do. She points to one of the far-off benches, and reluctantly Rannoch follows the instruction. We sit down with me continuously struggling to contain stray chuckles at exchange, much to Rannoch's dismay. I'm enjoying this switcheroo way more than I should. We don't have to wait long, as within moments the tigress is calling us back, so I imagine to confirm an audience without ever leaving a spot. His Excellency has graciously decided to grant you an audience, but I'll need you to leave your weapons here. She smiles awkwardly, nodding towards Rannoch's rather imposing gear. You'll be able to collect it from this desk once your business is concluded. I can see the wolf is not exactly keen on the idea, but I simply shrug and nod towards the receptionist. It's a fair request. Once Rannoch is fully disarmed, the female bows respectfully. You go up the stairs to the second floor, cross through the archway and stop before the second door on the right. There are some benches there for you to sit on, as it might take a while. Today's a very busy day, I'm afraid.
Did you say important business? Much diplomacy?
Rannoch asks in a rather impatient tone. Yes, much diplomacy indeed. She nods, barely containing mockery. That is why you're being granted this audience on such short notice.
Don't look a gifted horse in the mouth.
I whisper, bumping into his shoulder. Wolf only looks around in confusion.
What horse? There are no horses here.
It means leave it. It's good we've got an audience at all. I sigh, pulling towards the stairs and we begin our climb up. I fiddle with my fingers, watch as the wolf paces nervously in front of the bench. His paws slap the marbled floor in a rhythmic pattern, echoing across the empty antechamber. It'll be enough to lull me to sleep, if not for the bustle of the town outside. Flop, flop, flop. Another series of steps resonate in a different direction. It begins to slowly bother me. Despite patting the seat beside me on multiple occasions, Rannoch decides to act like an impatient child.
This is ridiculous. We've been waiting here for hours.
Calm down. There's not much else we can do about it. I mutter, again trying to make him sit. The wolf continues to ignore me.
We could just walk out.
Oh yeah, I'll show him. What will you tell your father? I scoff, looking at him in disbelief. That you lost patience yet to wait for an audience?
Pompous, self-important tigers.
He is the magistrate. We kind of showed up at his doorstep unannounced. I try to reason them prolonging wait. Brannock sneers in annoyance and returns to his pacing.
This is deliberate. They always treated our people like...
He cuts off so the massive door finally cracks open. It does so slowly, almost theatrically, like a curtain pulling up an opening night.
Lord Rannoch of Tiernan?
A deep voice invites us in. I look to the wolf with a soft smile. Seems our wait is finally over.
Oh, good.
It sounds more like a threat than anything else. Agreed. At least you stop your grumbling. I tease and jump off the bench, not even to lead us into the room proper. Just remember, a good diplomat speaks softly. I try to remind him, but he huffs in annoyance and rushes onwards.
I'm a wolf, not a sheep.
I really don't like the sound of that. The chamber is quite tall, with intricately decorated vaulted ceiling depicting an open blue sky. I admire the woodwork and panel as we walk up towards a wide desk, rested against a magnificent window. It gives a prime view of the city's bustling marketplace. I smile at the mayhem taking place between the stalls. The smell of spices and incense overpowers the senses even up here, high above the rooftops. To my surprise, I find myself remarkably at ease in such a setting. It almost feels like home. Finally we come to a stop at the desk, where seated in imposing chairs, an older tiger, who, despite his age, looks quite handsome and not at all past his prime.
Lord Rannoch, what do I owe the honour of your visit? I wait very long.
My wolf mutters in a somewhat broken speech. I had a feeling his Tigerian would become an issue. The language barrier seems to be the least of our problems. Rannoch's not even trying to hide his frustration, and I sigh internally.
Indeed, I'm afraid we're quite busy. So many foreigners passing through our town. Why, just the other day we had an emissary from Lynx Terra. But enough about our problems. Let me hear of your troubles. They must be quite something to force you to our doors.
The tiger waves his paws as if chasing an imaginary fly, and looks at Rannoch inquisitively. With that choice of words, he leaves no doubt he's very much not in the dark as to our intentions.
No trouble, just trade.
Rannoch responds with a stone expression. It's clear the magistrate is not convinced.
Oh? Forgive me if I'm taken aback. One is led to believe you wolves only leave your precious woods when in need of something. We need nothing.
My wolf reiterates sternly through his fangs, almost as if offended by the insinuation his people are in need. But they very much are. Otherwise, what was the point in coming here? First, the magistrate mirrors my baffled expression, but quickly determination returns to his muzzle.
A social occasion, then.
He shrugs, getting up from his chair and wall-pulling on a silken cord next to his desk. I look back startled as the massive door behind us creaks open once again, and realise we're at a loss here.
In that case, I'm afraid our talks are concluded. I have far more pressing matters than...
Forgive me, my lord, for speaking out of turn. I step forward, catching both males by surprise. Hell, I even surprised myself, now their penetrating gazes ascended on me. But while Rannoch's expression remains out of surprise, the magistrate smiles shallowly, almost begging to question if it's a genuine shift or not.
There's nothing to forgive, my friend. In Tigera, no kin speaks out of turn. The very concept is entirely lost in this, I'm afraid.
He emphasizes, looking back to Rannoch with scorn. I misspoke then. Forgive my boldness in addressing you so directly, but we have travelled far, and I would ask for just a moment of your time. The tiger looks at me with a puzzled expression, but it seems I have captured his interest. He pulls on the cord again. I can see the light flooding from behind slowly recede as the wooden wings come closer together. Once I can hear the audible click announcing the doors are shut once more, I sigh in relief. We didn't come this far to have Rannoch's pride hamper our diplomatic task. The magistrate returns to the desk, reaches for a crystal carafe, and pours himself a generous glass of deep scarlet wine.
Have you been offered any refreshments?
Yes, my lord. Twice, in fact. I nod, genuflecting gracefully.
Then let me make it a third.
The tiger extends a drink in my direction, causing me to blink in confusion. I have expected the glass to be meant for him, but it seems the older male observes the form of a good host. Trying to cause offence, I nod in gratitude, approach slowly and take the glass from his paw.
Thank you, my lord. You should enjoy it. It's better than anything the sylvan folk will produce in their burrows. Good grapes need light and open hills, two things Tiernan clearly lacks, along with whatever else you came here for.
The tiger pours another glass and offers it to Rannoch. The wolf just shakes his head. He's more stubborn than Vull at times. Instead of taking offence, the magistrate just shrugs and seats himself comfortably, bopping his drink in my direction as silent toast. I oblige, and we both take a sip. Once the wine hits my tongue, I groan in satisfaction, taking an involuntary lick of my lips.
I told you.
The tiger laughs. I nod in agreement. The wine's indeed delicious. It's rich and quite sweet.
Well, just like any good wine should be. We here no drink, just talk.
Again the wolf struggles to form a proper sentence, the magistrate's groan in amusement. Rannoch's Tigeri is just as lacking as his manners are. His dislike for everything is clear to see. I'd ask your forgiveness, my lord. The wolf kind can be quite irritable when out of their element.
Irritable? I'd say impertinent.
The tiger scoffs. He sloshes the wine around inside his glass, and with the opportunity to give Rannoch a disapproving look. I assure you, my lord, we mean no disrespect, just a communication issue. The magistrate looks at me carefully, inspecting every inch of my attire. Once he took a good measure, he flashes his brows.
My, this is quite a surprise, an eloquent slave.
I frown, seeing their attitudes are very much playing off each other. If I do something, this audience is going to end up in a quarrel for sure. I decided to lean onto his claim that the tigers all kin are equal. At this time, I think you should ask for my pardon, my lord, for I am no slave. I state firmly, but calmly enough to cause the tiger to give me a less dismissive look. I came here as companion and advisor to Rannoch. I'm here to aid him in overcoming any potential cultural and language barriers.
Is that so?
At first he sounds hesitant, but quickly shrugs it off, bopping his glass in my direction again.
If this truly is the state of affairs, then indeed I shall require your forgiveness. I'm afraid my assumption comes from a rather long history of bad experiences between our species.
I'll grant you forgiveness, my lord, if you grant us a moment of your time, complimented with some patience and understanding. Both the males give me surprised looks. I can see that Rannoch understands what I'm saying. He's just taken aback by the way I'm saying it. Guess a life of combat training leaves very little time to study the art of diplomacy.
That is quite interesting.
The tiger muses as he pushes deeper into his chair, seating himself in a more relaxed and comfortable manner.
I'd hosted a group of Vanar envoys to the Sorcerer King just a fortnight ago. None of them wielded Tigeri in such a natural fashion as you do. I'd ask if you're local, but I know that to not be true.
He shakes his head, toying with the wineglass.
There are no humans this side of the Serpentine, yet your accent does not match that of Freyafall either.
I'm humbled by your interest, my lord, but our matters here relate to the Wolven tribe of Tiernan, not my mundane origin.
I'm sure it's anything but...
The magistrate scoffs off his suspicion, downing the rest of his wine.
Very well, what do you want?
He addresses the wolf as he refills his glass, and look to Rannoch with worry. I take a shallow sip to mask my pleading expression from our host. Please, softly.
Iron, tribe want other things too. Grain and medicine. Your father placed an embargo on trade between our people. It was one of the first things he did as chief.
Rannoch blinks in evident shock, completely thrown off by the remark regarding his parentage. The tiger revels in it.
Oh yes, I know who you are, boy. I'd be poor at my job if I didn't.
The magistrate states plainly as he takes a long, satisfied gulp.
Varrock has upheld that embargo for over 20 years, only allowing exchanges to take place on preferential terms for your kind. We had nothing to do with your grandfather's lunacy. What's more, we stayed away from your affairs even when we had ample reasons to interfere.
My gaze darts to Rannoch, who's clearly getting upset by what has been mentioned. I can't deny that I myself getting quite curious as to what actually transpired. I recall Varrock hating the sheer mention of his father. So what happened? But all of this has to wait till the conversation began spiraling into a dangerous territory.
For our restraint and patience in the face of your people's transgressions, we were punished. Why should I open my markets to you after decades of such unjust treatment?
I have gold.
Ah, yes, it's that made a lick bit of difference. Do you see this, Wolf?
The magistrate sprawls his paws towards the hall around us.
Do I look as if I could be swayed by a mere crate full of coins? I'm a magistrate of the Heartlands. In this realm we sow and reap, while coins sprout from the ground beneath us.
You are a magnificent administrator, as evident by this splendid city surrounding us. As any good administrator, I'm sure you'd never frown at a potential new source of revenue. The male wiggles his nose slightly at the comment, then waves at Rannoch, bidding him to place the chest at the table. The wolf does so with a heavy clank, and the tiger inspects the contents. The glimmer of gold flickers across the marbled walls. The tiger's expression doesn't shift an inch. Closes the chest with indifference and folds his hands.
Ingots, I suppose you would need these liquefied?
What? Rannoch throws his head towards me and I smile gently. He means you need them exchanged for coins.
Yes, coins for trade.
I thought so. The old tiger closes his eyes and ponders for a moment.
I can easily arrange for the funds to be available to you, but the main issue still stands. Why should I allow for trade between our peoples after all that happened?
Because the generosity of Tigeron is known far and wide. I step in once again, suspecting another outburst might be brewing inside the wolf. Your kin answers injustice with justice. The trade between your two peoples has indeed been conducted in an unfair manner, but it is something that can be addressed at a later date.
What?
Rannoch blurts out, drawing the attention of the tiger.
Your master begs to differ, it would seem.
I half expect the wolf to stand his ground. To my surprise, Rannoch straightens up and sighs.
No, humans speak for I.
Oh, really? The magistrate's disbelief sounds more like mockery.
Seems you have tamed a wolf, sir. A rare occurrence in these parts.
He continues his jabs, and I decide that enough is enough. I'd appreciate we could refrain from veiled insults directed at my companion. I have his confidence just as he has mine. I try to sound stern enough to make the older male reconsider his behaviour, and to my relief, he does.
Again, my apologies. Hope you can forgive my slips of the tongue considering the extraordinary circumstances of this audience.
The magistrate corrects himself in his seat, looking back to the wolf with a more toned expression.
So, your people need iron? Assume it's not just any regular metal you're after. You want Tigeri steel. Why should we arm your folk with our most prized resource?
Protection.
Protection? Huh. Your kin has been raiding our realms for generations. The only ones who need the protection are my people.
The tiger laughs contemptuously and darts his gaze between us. It's clear that Rannoch is lost for words, most likely because he's fuming, but also because he's never played a diplomatic role in his life.
Well, anything to add? How about you, human?
The magistrate's penetrating stare now lands on me and I fidget. In truth, I have no idea what I could reply. I don't know their history, and if Rannoch is needed to correct the statement, there might be a grain of truth to it.
What's the matter? Wolf got your tongue? Let us speak freely. You're no longer in the Woven Forest, beholden to their barbaric laws.
I am speaking freely, my lord. Despite what you think, I have come here as an equal, although employed in Rannoch's service. I try to reassert the truth. The tiger just waves his paw at me dismissively, clearly not trusting my words. Rannoch's faltering facade of calm is not helping either. The wolf barely keeps his composure, clearly aggravated by the tiger's continuing jabs.
As you wish then, but my question still stands. Why should I arm his kin? He says they need protection. From what?
This is a complicated situation, more so than I'm qualified to handle. Yet the line of question is so pointed it's hard to believe it comes out of nowhere. I give a worried glance to Rannoch, who's almost shaking in anger. For allowing enough time to let his emotions take over, I decide to make a gamble. There is a war coming. I state plainly, drawing Rannoch's shock and momentary ire. The magistrate, on the other hand, looks at me intently, his expression barely shifts. A chief from the north named Vortigern is building up a force poised on conquest. We don't know where his attention might ultimately shift, but for now he's eyeing out his brethren. There's a momentary pause, and I could hear my own heart pounding inside my chest. I swallow heavily, waiting for reaction, anything at all. Eventually the tiger nods.
Oh, we've heard as much.
He admits drawing Rannoch's attention, and I sigh in relief. I was right. He was prodding us for the truth. But how is another wolven squabble any of our problems? Why should I waste my time and resources on something inevitable, which occurs with almost regular frequency? Because this doesn't seem a typical wolven squabble, as you so adequately put it.
Sam.
Rannoch tries to interrupt, but I ignore him, taking one step forward. We're in too deep. This is an ambitious chieftain bent on power beyond anything the region's seen in years. Should Tiernan fall, it wouldn't be one troublesome chief in a far-off corner of the woods you'll have to worry about, but an entire kin united under the iron grip of a tyrant. Who's to say his ambition would end there? I finish with a question, quite happy to see I've caught the magistrate's undivided attention. He knows my words to hang as he contemplates them, while I sneak glances at utterly confused Rannoch. I'm not sure he's angry with me for saying too much or for sidelining him. In truth, I'm not sure he's angry at all. He looks more dazed, stunned. It doesn't remain that for long as the magistrate breaks the silence, poking his finger in my direction.
I like this human. A straight shooter and an honest one at that. Very much a credit to his kin.
He says at Rannoch. The wolf gives an idle flick of his tail, banishing any fears I might have angered him. He's pleased, at least for now.
You know, lad, I've spent many a day in Freyfall debating my human counterparts on issues of politics and governance.
The tiger now speaks in my direction, pouring himself another serving of wine.
In fact, I've been present in Bengaron, when the first human magistrate was elevated to such a post nearly 14 years ago. You remind me much of him, bold and without a hint of deceit.
He states with satisfaction, popping his glass at me, and we take another silent toast as we wet our lips.
Your kind is honour-driven, more so than the wolves would ever give you credit for. I'm sure your candidness not earn you any favour with your master.
It speaks for I, the wolf mutters, causing the magistrate to laugh.
Ah, even his tongue betrays his mind. You're property to him, a property that speaks out of turn.
Another jab causes a subdued growl to escape Rannoch's throat, and once more I'm forced to mediate. My lord, as I said, we have travelled far, and forgive my frankness, we do not do so to exchange insults. We won't correct the prejudice of ages today in this room. We're simply here to humbly ask for a trade, on as fair a terms you'll find in your heart to offer.
You have a talent for speeches, my boy, a silver tongue if ever I met one.
He smiles in admiration and looks towards a marble pedestal with the bust of a royal, feline-looking figure.
A sorcerer king would love you. I have a half mind of snatching you, putting up a crate and shipping off to the capital.
Strictly speaking, that would be kidnapping. I respond teasingly, yet my voice is lined with worry. I'm not exactly sure he wouldn't consider such an act a rescue.
Indeed. And yet it's the most common way one finds himself in the service of a wolf.
Another jab draws an irritated sigh from Rannoch, for as much as I find this childish, in this instance I cannot think of a retort. Knowing what I know about Trist, it's very much an accurate assessment. Thankfully the tiger doesn't dwell on it, he addresses me once again.
What's your name?
Sam, my lord.
Your full name, boy?
It's just Sam, I'm afraid.
No one's ever just a name.
He responds with growing suspicion, side of humorous curiosity, more so than it could dispel any of his assumptions as to how I found myself at Rannoch's side. That must be no one then, and it might just as well be true. I was found bleeding and near death. Whatever caused my wretched state is lost to me, just as all my prior memories are. Whatever your thoughts on the wolves might be, they have saved me. The magistrate listens carefully as I point towards Rannoch with an open hand. He has found me and took me in. He sheltered, fed, and clothed me. He promised to help me recover my memory and find my way back home. I'm simply repaying a debt incurred, as any honourable creature would.
Oh, well said, my friend. I'm not going to hide our dislike for a comrade over there. His kind has been quite a thorn in our side for many generations.
Rannoch is an honourable wolf, I state sternly, and the tiger shrugs with little conviction.
Oh, I do not doubt he believes himself so. Perhaps even you believe it, considering how passionately you defend him. But at the end of the day, he is a wolf.
Meaning? I don't hide my displeasure as blatant xenophobia.
His people, when stripped of all disguise and pretense, are savages who follow a primitive doctrine of might makes right.
From my limited experience, I would say that's a natural condition for most in power, from a lowly servant to the highest of magistrates. I emphasise the last part, causing the tiger to smile. Again he pops his finger at me and his amusement becomes apparent. You're a sharp one, I'll give you that. I'm also not going to deny the devotion you exhibit for your lord is touching. Perhaps a bit perverse considering your circumstance, but not without merit. However, do not take me for a fool. His tone turns. Targaryen, by extension, Avalon as a whole function on three principles: liberty, equality, and fraternity. All three completely foreign concepts of the Wolven kind. Very well then, I won't try to change your mind. I nod in defeat, taking the tiger by surprise. But take into account, my life was saved by these wolves, who now face the threat of invasion. And without any illusions what my fate would have been were I found in Vortigern's lands. What you need to ask yourself, my good sir, if you prefer that sort of wolf as your neighbour. The tiger reclines comfortably into his chair, tapping his fingers against the armrests. I give a worried look to Rannoch. Despite being slightly unsettled, tries to muster an encouraging smile. The silence protracts uncomfortably. I'm about to speak up when the magistrate stands up and ruffles some jingling bits inside one of his pockets. He retrieves a small golden key and walks towards a side cupboard, which he unlocks with. We watch curiously. He removes a scroll with the seal already broken and walks back to take his seat. I have here in my paw something I have not shared with anyone yet. In fact, not even the capital was made aware of this. The tiger speaks in a hushed voice, shaking the parchment. His tone seems devoid of any previous levity or scorn. He looks intently at Rannoch. The first time he's addressing the wolf as an actual partner in an honest conversation. It's a letter from Vortigern himself. A pompous upstart, but quite dedicated, I'll give him that. He styled himself in such a manner that would make our most decadent of nobles feel aghast. Just reading the preamble took me a good minute or two. I had a weak chuckle, drawing the tiger's attention. I may very well have Vortigern's titles were greeted at the feasting ground. Can you guess what said letter contains? The magistrate asks and I blink. I wouldn't presume. Entertain me, please. He requests politely and decides to oblige. Yes, he asks you to stare into the Wolven affairs. Asked? You are indeed a human. The tiger scoffs in amusement, shaking his head. It was a demand, quite stern in fact, so you can see my conundrum when it comes to your master's request. Which wolf shall I listen to? You're a free kin, my lord, as you asserted many times. I mutter as respectfully as possible. You're also a leader of a sovereign people. You do not have to listen to anyone. But if I were you, I would consider a humble request made in person over a petulant demand made in writing. Tiger reclines back into his seat, linking his fingers at the chin. His entire demeanour shifts, and his posture betrays a growing ease in our presence. My dear wolf, I have no idea what madness forced such a cunning little thing at your service, but you should count your blessings. Indeed, Master Sam, we're of the same mind. He looks to me with a kind smile. I shall grant your wolven friend his right of unrestricted trade. The magistrate waves a finger in Rannoch's direction. But make no mistake, Wolf, I am doing so only thanks to that crafty creature next to you, which I know your people hold in contempt. Thank you, my lord. Tribe, thanks. I bow graciously while Rannoch gives a half-hearted nod. Leave the gold with me. It's not wise for any individual to carry such wealth around unarmed. Rannoch looks at the chest slightly worriedly, but I place a hand on his shoulder. After all, that was the point of our mission, to use the gold to establish credit. I'll prepare the documents you to take back to your chief. 10 copies should suffice. I don't see any need for more. I doubt he'd send enough merchants to wield them anyway. 10 is good. Again my wolf nods as the magistrate empties his glass. Oh, good. Realising I've been quite tardy with my drink, I decide to do the same. It seems a shame to guzzle such a good vintage in a single go. I rub my lips clean as I return the glass to a silver tray beside the carafe on the table. The magistrate walks up to the silken cord. I guess it means our business is done. He tugs at it and the door behind us creaks open once again. I give my regards to Varrock. I might dislike your kind on the whole, but your father is the least disagreeable wolf I've met. You and he meet? Rannoch seems taken aback. Oh, we did, twice in fact. You look quite like him, at least before he got fat. Tell him he owes me a rematch. You fight? Now even I'm surprised. The magistrate laughs it off, waving his hand in amusement. Oh, no, he beat me in a round of chess 20 years ago. I consider myself something of a champion in that game, so such a slight cannot stand.
Oh,
Rannoch seems disappointed it wasn't a contact sport. It almost makes me laugh. Considering the whispers reaching me from your woods, I would be surprised if we met again. I'll be taking a great interest in you, my pink-skinned friend. A very close interest indeed. The tiger nods in my direction. I smile back at him. Eventually, taking another bow as we slowly retreat from the chamber. So we're about to cross the threshold. The magistrate's voice echoes across the room. Oh, and another thing. Tell your father the next time he wants to treat with me, he can send the human instead. I don't see that insolent brown wolf ever again. Guests should know when they wear out their welcome. He calls out in a mix of jest and genuine complaint. Before any of us can respond, he's tugging at the cord again and the door begins to shut. Our way out of the town hall is awkward, to say the least. I'm still unsure of having overstepped any boundaries, while Rannoch is buried deep in thought. True, I might have taken the reins of the negotiation, but considering his attitude and language barrier, what else was I supposed to do? Still, I guess I can understand his ire to a degree. It was his mission, after all.
What did you tell him about Vortigern?
He finally breaks the silence, muttering disapprovingly and causing me to twitch, but only for a moment. I was kind of expecting this, so I take a deep sigh and simply look him in the eye. Honesty can go a long way in building up a relation, while it costs us nothing.
If the leather worker knows, you think he wouldn't?
I expected the magistrate would be aware of Vortigern's shenanigans, so tell him as much didn't reveal anything of value. The wolf looks ahead, still mulling over the whole situation. We stay like this for as long as it takes to clear the marble staircase.
I don't like him. He's a snide tiger.
You seem fine to me.
That's because you grovelled. Tigers always love a good grovel.
He almost sounds accusatory, and I rest my hands on my hips. I wouldn't say I grovelled. I just showed deference to someone above my station.
With that kind of mindset, everyone proved to be above your station.
The slightly grumpy expression, irritated tone makes me smile, and I shake my head. When you talk like that, I'm tempted to slap your ears.
Take it as you will, for it's true. One must assert his place in life.
That's just wolven posturing again. I shrug as we finally enter the lobby. We fall silent for a moment, approaching the front desk. Just as we're about to address the secretary, a whistling sound draws our collective attention. She walks up to the back wall and uncorks what looks like a pipe stretched all the way up towards the ceiling. Yes, Your Excellency. The female puts her muzzle against the opening and leans in her ear.
What in there?
It's a speaking tube. I conclude in amazement as we watch the tigress listen to an unintelligible voice coming down the pipe. Of course, understood, Your Excellency. She plugs the tube again and returns to face us. The Lord Magistrate will have your documentation prepared. You'll be able to collect it from this very desk at the end of the day. Also, here are your weapons. The secretary says with a polite tone, struggling to plop Rannoch's 2 swords and a pauldron on the desk. Once they clank against the wooden counter, the wolf begins to dress up, I nod in gratitude. Oh, thank you. We proceed towards the exit, while Rannoch shakes his head in disapproval.
Talking tubes. They're crazy, those tigers.
I barely contain a chuckle. He's really struggling to find himself in this new place. Though not exactly modern by my standards, certain gadgets those tigers enjoy must almost feel like science fiction to him. Once we step out into the vibrant street, I sigh and relax, simply relishing the afternoon stroll. Although I do like Tiernan, being in a lively place such as this tugs at some long-lost memories. It feels right to be here, regardless how badly Rannoch might not enjoy it. Seeing that the wolf continues to sulk, I look to him with an apologetic smile. Look, I'm sorry if you're not happy about the way this went down, but diplomacy requires tact, something your people clearly lack if what the magistrate said is true.
Exactly. Don't trust a word of a tiger over my own.
Your word is neither here nor there, so you didn't witness what happened. From what the magistrate says, Vith's stay in Strandbad wasn't as successful as we were led to believe.
Vith is my father's advisor for a reason.
He mutters defensively, and I nod. Yes, and that begins to rub me the wrong way.
He's a trusted friend. He's almost like a second father to me.
Rannoch continues, slight offence lying in his tone. Look, I'm not trying to imply anything. All I'm saying is there are 2 sides to the story. I know you dislike the tigers and distrust anything they say, but consider this. They thought he was here for several years. Why? What did he actually achieve?
Oh, I don't know.
Again he grumbles in that unrecognisable moody fashion whenever he doesn't like the turn a conversation takes. Exactly, neither did the magistrate. So he said the trade embargo was in place for 2 decades, and the relations didn't improve at all either. And he seems to have much fonder memories of your father than he does of his envoy. The wolf ponders, and I regain my hope I might be getting through to him. I rest my hand on his shoulder, tugging at it to add weight to my words. You're going to be a chief one day. You need to be able to look at things from a wider perspective. I'm not saying Vither is a bad person, but I don't think he's a good advisor either.
And what are you basing this on?
His diplomacy, for one. I shrug. It was a farce, and the tribe hasn't changed one bit either. I'm not about laws and customs, but look around you. He spent several years here and he didn't bring any of this back to Tiernan. I spread my hand in partial jest, pointing to the bustling town all around us.
What, pretty houses and cobbled streets?
Scoff all you like, but yes, the quality of life is immensely different. Your people are being left further and further behind. You said you wanted to travel the world, see what it has to offer, so you could become a better chief. Well, he has travelled. Rannoch looks at me now more intently, listening carefully to what I say. He saw what the world had to offer, yet he didn't help your father be better. In fact, the only thing that got better is his purse, while he and the chief drink and smoke their lives away. When you were gone, I had a chance to get out and about. The wolves talk about him almost as if he owned the tribe.
He is quite rich.
Finally, the wolf's voice betrays a hint of concern. Well, I don't think that was always the case. Something tells me he got his fortune during the tenure as your father's advisor.
You know what? I'll trust your instinct, even if I don't agree with it.
He looks at me with a wavering smile.
When we get back, I'll look into this, I promise.
But subtly. I tease and Rannoch rolls his eyes.
Of course, subtly. I'm about to poke a hornet nest. No wolf likes it when others sniff around their business, no more so than Vither. Well, enough of that. I'd like us to unwind before what comes next.
He waves his paw and I laugh in agreement.
Well, this was a day and a half.
I yawn, stretching myself idly as we stroll down one of the streets leading away from the town hall.
Indeed.
The wolf nods, looks at me with growing humour.
You've earned another treat.
And an apology. I scoff teasingly, bumping into his shoulder. Told you it would come in hand.
That you did.
The wolf laughs and I can't help but puff my cheeks in feigned annoyance. Your Tigeri's awful. I hope you know that.
My apologies then, my lord, for being born in the sticks.
He takes a deep, exaggerated bow and I nudge him in his rump, causing the wolf to run a few paces forward to avoid falling flat on his muzzle. Dickhead. I call as we both chuckle in amusement. So, where are we headed?
To the Stranded Bard Inn.
Really? I nearly gasp out in excitement. And they let us in? I thought you said it was like a pilgrimage site for bards, very hard to get into.
It is, but it's also an inn.
He shrugs coyly and I feel slightly suspicious, but for now I won't read too much into it. Well, I'm not going to lie, I'd love to hear someone sing.
Yeah, you think you would, until you will. Then you do anything for them to shut up.
The wolf snickers and I shake my head. Be nice, don't ruin this for me.
Alright, this way.
He waves his paw, making me follow him to one of the side paths leading away from the main road. At first I'm confused. I brush it off to Rannoch finding some sort of shortcut from the main square leading through several blocks of townhouses. I enjoy these little detours, we're both out of the sun in the pleasantly cool shade, but also I get to admire the backyards of those amazingly old-timey buildings. They're tall, 3 and even 4 stories high, with their wooden frames climbing high like giant ladders. It's all so fantastical, almost as if from a fairy tale. Then again, everything so far seems like a damn fairy tale. In one of the courtyards we pass a group of tiny tiger cubs playing around an open well. They collect small pebbles and drop them down, listening on to hear the plume of the water once the stone hits the surface, each time jumping up and down with cheer. I chuckle at this innocent sight, and that's what draws their attention. First they seem wary, seeing Rannoch, most likely scared both of his size and his massive sword. Once they see me, their expressions change to that of awe and curiosity. Is a human? A human? What's that? Their little murmurs echo against the towering walls of the townhouses, and I shake my head in amusement. We come to a stop when a little tiger girl, maybe 4 or 5 years old, approaches a few steps and fidgets on her cute little paws. Hey, mister, my friend says you're a human. Is that true? I smiled at her kindly, looking back to Rannoch's confused muzzle and then back to her inquisitive eyes. Why, yes, I am. Why do you ask? Because humans are magic, like the elfkin. Elfkin? I chuckle, taking a step in her direction. One of the larger boys walks up to her and pushes her back in a protective manner. Well, they're not magic, they're just rare, and we shouldn't talk to strangers. I nod in agreement. He's right, on both matters. Come to think of it, you shouldn't be playing around an open well either. We're not jumping into it. The brave little tiger puffs up his chest in annoyance. I can't help but melt at how cute his little belligerent muzzle looks. We're just throwing stones in. They hear the water slosh. I take a guess. The entire group laughs at me as if I said the darndest of things. No, silly, to make a wish. You must have a lot of wishes then. I muse teasingly, to which the girl only shrugs. What do you wish for? We can't tell, otherwise it won't come true. Fair enough. Mind if I make a wish then? I ask, causing the kids to exchange wary gazes. First they appear reluctant. Eventually one of the cubs in the back speaks up. I think it'd help to have a magical human's wishing stone in there. Well, it's not magic. The larger of the kids protests. The girl next to him marches up to me and takes hold of my hand, to everyone's surprise. Magic or not, you said they're rare. He must be lonely, so he needs all the wishes he can get. Her bluntness causes me to choke in amusement. I'm also incredibly touched. She marches up to the well and then points to the gravel around it. You must find a wishing stone, then think the wish really, really hard before you drop it in. And which one is the wishing stone? I ask, looking at the various pebbles littering the ground. You will know. She shrugs and I smile, beginning my quest for a wish. I might be diligent to humour the child, but at the same time I also want to find a pretty stone for my own sentiment. Eventually I spot a nice round white pebble. That's a good one. The little girl nods approvingly. How do you know? I just do. Again she shrugs. I must admit I love her moxie. I straighten up and squeeze the stone in the palm of my hand, taking a deep breath. I do so theatrically, as I know all the cubs are watching. But at the same time, what if... I wish that Rannoch stopped hiding things from me. I wish that he finally starts to see me as an asset, not a liability. And off the stone goes as everyone holds their breath. A few seconds later, a soft plume of drums of furious cheers from the kids, and they all dance around. Caelan. Rannoch softly calls out my pup name, and the cubs fall silent, looking at him with worry. It's quite all right. He's a good wolf, but I do have to go. I ruffle the little girl's hair and proceed to walk away. Thank you for the wish. Bye. Having a human wish is almost like having an elf wish. Now the world is bound to work. Oh, shut up, you idiot. They continue their previous games and I laugh, following Rannoch out of the maze of backyards. Seems quite taken by the ease with which I interact with strangers. His gentle smile and subtle tail wags are a reward in and of themselves. Eventually we step out of the shadowy alleyways into a decorative cobbled opening. The small square surrounding the eponymous inn is quite cosy, with the richly adorned townhouses almost hugging the sprawling structure. The inn is big, much bigger than I expected, with various additions stacking up onto it like a layered cake. Damn, this place is huge. Well, that's what happens when a building is famous for nearly 1,000 years. Rannoch muses with satisfaction, taking in my glee and amazement. Is it really that old? Well, the establishment at least, not the building itself. The wolf shrugs. If I remember correctly, Vitha said it was rebuilt several times and expanded. For sure. I nod, noticing different parts that show a distinct shift of styles and brickwork over the ages. But wow, I just love it. I jump up with joy and we walk up towards the main entry. A massive sign, the Stranded Bard, hangs up above, while the portico bears an inscription, "Come ye weary and heavily laden, I will give you rest." Almost feels like approaching a sanctuary of sorts. The place is so crowded the patrons spill out onto the surrounding square, drinking at the outside tables. The weather is nice enough to allow it, doesn't seem as bad as an alternative, but Rannoch is bent on getting inside. That's when we met with a large tigress with a bosom for days, barring the entry. "Oh, we want in," the wolf states coldly. She just shakes her head. "I'm sorry, good sirs, we're at capacity. We have 2 travelling minstrels with us, and the guests have been crowded in since last week."
"That's good. We sit."
Rannoch mutters to her utter frustration. "No, sir, the point is there is nowhere for you to sit. You can take a spot on the outside benches when and if it frees up." She points to the outdoor space. I'm almost inclined to agree. It is a nice day. But Rannoch persists.
"Out, no good. We sit in."
The female simply rolls her eyes and sighs heavily and places a hand on the wolf's shoulder. He brushes it off gently.
"Barkeep."
"Sir, I told you there's no room."
"Barkeep."
He insists, forcing the tigress to look to me in annoyance. "Could you please explain to your master?" He's not my master. I'm really tired of this slave bullshit. Your companion, if we don't have any room left. I nod and turn to face the wolf. She said,
"I know what she said. Tell her to get the barkeep."
I look to him in slight discomfort. Are we really going to pull the most classical Karen move? We are, aren't we? I sigh in defeat and do as asked. "Ma'am, could we please speak to the owner?" I roll my eyes internally. "And give me the number for corporate while you're at it." Unsurprisingly, the female doesn't budge. "I'm sorry, sir, but we're full up, truly." The tigress continues in a groaningly desperate tone, so she's finally shooed away from the doorway, a rather short, round male. "Walk away, you dumb girl. Can't you see this is no ordinary guest?" He calls out in an angered voice. The female's at a confusion. "But..." Forgive us, Lord Rannoch. All this girl is good for is having her enormous udders milked, like the daft cow she is. The male bows deeply, inviting us in. "This way, come, come." He insists merrily and struts down the main hall. I look to Rannoch in confusion, as he gives a satisfied, smug smile towards the puzzled waitress when we proceed inside. That was interesting.
When you visit with a magistrate, especially unannounced with a chest full of gold, the word spreads.
Maybe. This cheeky grin does not dissipate while I finally take a glance across the inn proper. It's an enormous structure composed of various nooks and annexes surrounding the central temple dedicated to Shia. A massive hall enclosed by 2-story colonnades supporting the upper gallery and ending in an open stage. The place is packed to the brim, with every table occupied by creatures of various origins. The city seemed diverse. The Stranded Bard is a cosmopolitan world in its own right, perhaps even the city's beating heart. There's huskies, which only distinguish from the wolves by their curled-up tails. There's also lynxes and lions, at least a few leopards, all drinking and making merry together like one big family. This place is something else entirely. It's not that they need our business, and we're not going to be returning customers. Not anytime soon, at least. Unless we make our way to the back of the hall. Why make an exception?
They might not need our coin, but they need prestige. Having nobles and dignitaries stay here makes this place stand out above all others.
Rannoch winks, and I look to him with a smile. It's full of surprises. He might act brash at times, but all in all, he's not a dummy.
Here we are.
The barkeep bows gracefully while unfurling a long napkin from behind his apron. He uses it to brush the table in a small alcove, while pulling away curtains which concealed it from the rest of the building. I have prepared a spot, just like you requested. Intimate, it's still part of the main hall.
Perfect. Much thank.
It's hard not to smile at his Tigeri, but seeing how it does not faze the barkeep, I decide to act like a grown-up and ignore it as well. No, my lord, it is I who thank you. Our host takes another deep bow and rushes off. Rannoch seats himself immediately when I'm starting to suspect this wasn't really a gamble on his part. You planned this ahead, didn't you?
You really think I would have left our visit at the famous inn to chance?
I suppose not.
I may have bribed the barkeep last night to reserve us a spot.
I was right then, cheeky. As I'm about to continue, another waitress approaches us. Her expression shows she's not too pleased. What do you want? She throws in politely at Rannoch, and I can see his ears fold in slight annoyance.
Meal and wine.
Ale is the most you can afford. The female exhales dismissively, shifting the weight to one leg and giving me a rather disgusted look. Do you even speak? Better than you. I scoff, quite surprised by her off-putting attitude. What are you doing? The barkeep returns, aghast that she's talking with us. He's holding in his paws a large, fully lit candelabra and plops in the centre of our table. It's just a wall for this slave. She brushes the paw in the direction the male squares off with her. Be silent, woman, or you'll find yourself without a job. Did you not see I should them in personally? Go away and find yourself some pots to scrub. He commands, and the female walks off with the same sassy attitude she came towards us. I don't expect she'll be working here long. The barkeep folds his hands together apologetically and bows as deeply as his back will allow him. Please forgive me, she's new. It's been quite a rush these past few weeks, and I simply had to take on more staff. Some might not be cut out to work here, though. She's by no means what Stranded Bard stands for. We're open to every weary traveller, no matter the species or the depth of their pocket. It's very reassuring to hear you say that. I smile, looking back to Rannoch, who doesn't seem much bothered by the incident.
Oh, we want meal, and wine if can.
Excellent. The barkeep claps his paws merrily. We have a most succulent of roast finishing. It's practically melting off the spit.
Good. Wine. Very good. Lots of coin.
Oh, I wouldn't presume to impose too high a price.
Lots of coin.
Rannoch insists, and I must admit I'm enjoying the way he's spoiling me lately. Quite then. I have a few bottles of excellent quality straight from Nixterra. I'm told it's the very same is served at the palace in Daguerreon to the Sorcerer King himself. The barkeep says with pride, and the wolf nods.
Oh, good. We have Sorcerer King wine.
The male bows deeply once again and rushes off in good humour as if he'd just gotten some great news. Guess the prospect of draining a guest a coin will be counted as such. That seems a bit over the top. I mutter worriedly.
Considering what I'm heading back into, when'll be the next time I'll get to splurge out like this? And it might be our last meal together.
I frown slightly, to which he quickly changes his tune.
Might. Besides, you'd be saving me 3 talents if you come back with me, no?
True, but you've already spent nearly the same amount.
Well, at least I'm bankrupted myself on someone who won't throw it back in my muzzle.
He nods towards the dress. Although I chuckle, it does feel bad how Marissa treated such a gift. I don't want to dwell on it. It's not my place to dictate how she's to act when persistently courted by a crude friend. Didn't take you for a wine drinker.
A special occasion calls for a special marker.
Speaking of special markers, I look around our table, enjoying how remarkable and romantic this setting truly is. A private alcove, candelabras, a delicious meal for just the two of us. Should I treat it as a date then?
A date? I assume it's your way of saying courtship.
He chuckles.
Well, I think we're slightly past that point, don't you agree?
Yeah, we did skip a few steps.
A few? We drop an entire book on the subject. 2, in fact, one for each of our species.
Look at you. Seems idioms aren't exactly a foreign language to your kind.
No, but your random gibberish is.
He teases and we both laugh. In either case, I quite enjoy this. I glide my hands across the table. Dating is very integral to the human culture.
Again, you mean courtship? Well, I'd say it's pretty integral to any species, really.
The wolf shrugs. Potato, potato, you know what I mean.
I thought you said you understood our little arrangement.
He gives me a more serious look and I nod to dispel any of his worries. Of course, this means we can't observe some to the form. Otherwise, what's the point?
Are you sure about this?
I was the one who proposed it to begin with. I feign annoyance, the wolf rolls his eyes.
Very well then, a date it is.
That's all I can ask for. I gave him the tongue, just as the barkeep returned to the different waitress at his side. This tigress gives a wide, kind smile as she places our plates in front of us. They're stacked high with roasted vegetables, beautifully brown cuts of meat, and a generous portion of gravy. Oh my, this looks delicious. I rub my hands while licking my lips.
And here is the arc wine.
The male presents a very fancy-looking bottle with engraved grapevine motifs. The glass is tinted dark green. The liquid inside is clearly visible. Shall I pour?
Mmm.
Ronald nods with his mouth full as he already dug in. In fairness, we've been held up at the town hall for quite a while. I've worked up an appetite as well. We continue with our meals as stocky male uncorks a bottle and pours the contents into beautifully etched crystal chalices.
Here you go, my lord. And one for the young master.
I'm not sure if it's the candlelight or the crystal. The wine seems almost iridescent, shimmering with different hues of red depending on how you look at it.
I do not hesitate to ask you for anything.
He takes a bow and Rannoch nods, dismissing him with a gesture of his paw. Once we're left alone, I lean in towards him with amusement.
Young master? We're the same age. Your kind tend to look young in our eyes. You're bald like unweaned pups.
He muses while scooping a big portion of mashing gravy into his muzzle. I guess. I shrug, taking hold of my glass and bopping it towards the wolf.
A slanche. Slanche.
Rannoch responds and we clink the chalices merrily with the ring of resonating song. So I take a sip of the tantalising wine. First it feels like any other vintage. Bit sweet, bit sour. But then it tingles all over, almost like champagne. There are no bubbles, and the tingling doesn't limit to the tongue itself. It spreads down the throat to the belly and then radiates across the entire body through my veins. Almost feels like 1,000 gentle kisses being placed onto my naked skin. I can't help but gasp in mild embarrassment.
Holy shit. Yeah.
The wolf looks equally perplexed as I am. Tastes great, but...
Yeah.
He nods and we both take cautious glances towards the bottle. Is this spiked or something?
Well, I've no fucking clue.
I take a reluctant sniff of the chalice. Even the smell of the wine feels intoxicating, almost as if it called out to me, begging to be drank. Yeah, this is spooky. Sorry. I wave towards the hall where the barkeep scrutinises his staff. Quickly notices me and rushes to our side. Yes, everything's alright. Perfect. It's just... I pause, looking to Rannoch with worry, to which the wolf gives me an encouraging nod. I don't want to sound rude, but what's in this wine?
Oh, is it off? I'm terribly sorry.
The male concludes apologetically, but I shake my head.
Oh, no, actually, we wouldn't know.
Would you care to try it? I offer him my glass, and the tiger takes it with a hint of hesitation.
Oh, most certainly, I'd be honoured to.
We both watch intently as he takes a deep sip. To our surprise, there's no reaction.
Tastes delectable. One of the best vintages I ever had.
Oh, I'm not disputing that. I think we're both in agreement. It's delicious, but... Again, I look back to the wolf, and this time Rannoch only shrugs in defeat. But... Don't you feel... tingly? Odd? I slowly realise how dumb this really sounds. I'm surprised the barkeep has a lightbulb moment and simply laughs.
Oh, I understand. Our master's never had arc wine before.
No, I can't say we have.
It is an enchanted wine,
he states, flicking his fingers at one of the passing waitresses. Enchanted?
Yes, enchanted.
He reiterates, passing a glass to a girl who responds to his summons.
I take it and bring back a clean one. We won't have our guests drink after me.
He commands, not breaking eye contact with our table, and the tigress nods while he continues answering my question.
The land of Link's terror is saturated with raw arcane. It causes their fruit to contain quite a lot of it. The Lynx has also refined the process of making the magic much more potent during fermentation.
I looked at him with utter confusion and fascination, unable to comprehend what he's actually saying. But what does it do? Oh, not much really. The tiger shrugs anticlimactically. Just a flavour enhancer, I suppose. The tingly sensation is just a release of arcane into your body, like a diluted mana potion. A mana potion? A gasp. We slipped into a role-playing game? Well, it would be lethal for us ordinary folk to ingest a mana potion, but the wine has similar properties. It increases focus, intelligence and regeneration. Some suppose it can form small conjurer's tricks as well, but I have yet to see that. He laughs it off casually, while I struggle to contain amazement in my expression. Oh, okay, thank you. I'm sorry we sound ignorant. This might be wasted on us. I nod towards the bottle. The tiger shakes his head. No experience is a bad experience, I say. Oh, a bit of advice. Depending on your exposure, it can cause a faint glow in the eyes, but that's nothing to worry about. Usually wears off after a few hours. And here's your new glass. He adds with satisfaction, placed in front of me once the waitress returns with his query. Many thanks. I smile as the barkeep leaves us to our own devices. Well, that was weird. Did you follow any of that?
Halfway. Sounds like a spiked wine to me.
Rannoch shrugs indifferently while taking hold of my cup. He fills it up and encourages me to drink with another toast. We clink the glasses and take another sip, shivering as the tingling in our veins resumes. It is quite tasty, though.
And very expensive, so we better make the best of it, glowing eyes and all.
He laughs and we continued with our meal. I must admit, it's nice to unwind like this. The scenery is very much reminiscent of the feasting grounds, however it's also more private. I realised how much I needed to have a dinner like this with Rannoch, just the two of us with a constant visual of others. It seems the wolf very much enjoys this as well. So much so every now and then he rubs my legs with his hind paws, sneaking discreet touches between each bite. Eventually I muster the courage and simply place my hand on top of his, looking lovingly into his eyes. At first he's surprised, but realizing no one pays us any mind, he grasps and we're now effectively holding hands. The music plays on for a while, we just enjoy our company, chatting and joking and also taking in the setting. The stranded bar proved to be all I was promised and more. It's lively, cheering, clearly the epicentre in this bustling community. There's a sense of camaraderie in the air that crosses the cultural and racial divides. I'm falling in love with this place as much as I fell in love with that wolf. The only thing missing is the songs. That's when my attention drifts to the stage, where a handsome-looking lion takes a seat, tuning his lute. Ask and you shall receive. I chuckle at the timing. Although the conversations continued, they're now more hushed in clear anticipation. Eventually the lion caresses the strings, and a soothing yet somewhat solemn tune fills the room. It's very much akin to a lullaby. It casts a spell on everyone, gives melodic voice and uncontested dominion over the entire tavern.
Gather round the twinkling fire of this your hearth. Let me tell you a grand tale of two broken hearts. Once there was a mighty king, and he had a son, both in love with an outsider. Thus our tale begun. She was an outstanding woman everyone adored, from a lowly country peasant to the highest lord. To her motives many claim that she was pure of heart, but deception, as they say, is the oldest form of art. Although many enjoy the song, some begin to frown and return to their prior arrangements with subdued murmurs and chatter slowly ringing in the back. The prince came pleading and then begging, swallowing his pride. He would give her all she asked for if she were his bride. In spite of his valiant efforts, she seemed not too keen. Why settle as a lonely princess when one can be a queen? The king was old, wise and gentle, he caught both their eyes. Father-son rift now forms until one of them dies. The princess challenged our good king to an honour-bound duel, unbeknownst that love has turned his father's softball cruel. The king had his son's red wine poisoned just before the fight. The prince was strong, it took much longer for the poison to bite. The youth will always trump old age, the king now lies slain.
but his venom does its trick, and the prince has won in vain. What sort of song is this? Is it historical? I mean, he sings it beautifully, he's clearly not reading the room. All the learned men and the courtiers look for someone to blame. The queen finds herself in a dark cell, there she would know pain. Accused of witchcraft there was no doubt, evil witch would hang. Not soon after a noose snapped the war cries would be sung. Empty thrones bewitch much harder than the wickedest of spells. Now the country's whole on fire, a current to burn in hells. You might ask what madness drove them to this folly and treason. Answer here is plain and simple. Love is the death of all reason. Love is the death of all reason. As much as I don't want to, I echo the confusion and awkwardness of the gathered. This place used to be like a fairground, now it's more akin to a graveyard. Not to mention, I don't think I vibe with the message either. Of course, there are few enjoyed its performance, subdued applause lost in the echo of this vast hall. The reaction of the majority is pretty similar to when someone farts in an elevator. I can almost feel the second-hand embarrassment. That's when a slow clap can be heard from a little niche next to a stage. A flamboyant-looking cat holding a lyre underneath his arm approaches and takes a shallow dip. Beautifully sung, my friend, no doubt about that, he says in a somewhat funny accent. But I thought this was an inn, not a mausoleum. Why bring down the mood of our generous patrons who came here to forget the sorrows of their dreary lives? The cat asks with a taunting tone, and quite a few cheer, raising up their mugs in agreement. Where I come from, the bard's duty is to both entertain and educate. Then I suggest you return to where you came from, my friend. Why inflict your foreign sensitivities on these kind of folks? Another bout of applause fills the main hall. I have to agree with the cat. Despite his uncouth, go back where you came from, jab. I mean, the line always asks for it. There's nothing wrong with lessons in history. Aye, it doesn't mean they have to be so morose. The cat steps onto the stage and finally grasps his lyre appropriately. Well, if it's a lesson in history you want, then I shall gladly oblige. I'm sure it's a tune every kin in Avalon knows by heart. He states confidently. The moment he strikes the first few chords, a great many patrons raise their mugs in cheer and laughter, recognizing the song that's about to commence. Even the innkeep chuckles merrily, while I find myself bopping slightly to the much livelier rhythm of this new song. Even the innkeep chuckles merrily, while I find myself bopping slightly to the much livelier rhythm of this new song. The cat starts to hop and stomp across the stage, its voice loud and joyful.
Beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. A long time ago, way back in history, when all there was to drink was nothing but cups of tea, along came a kin by the name of Charlie Mops, and he invented a wonderful drink and he made it out of hops. He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the king who invented beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. The stranded bard, the journeys, and the royal inn as well. One thing you can be sure of, it's Charlie's beer they sell. So all ye lads and lasses, at 11 o'clock you stop. For 5 short seconds, remember Charlie Mops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the king who invented beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. A bushel of hops, a barrel of malt, you stir it around with a stick. That sort of lubrication to make your engine tick. 40 pints of wallop a day will keep away the quacks. It's only 8 pence a pot and 1 per 6 in tax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the king who invented beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. All the we can love their trinkets, now that we know is true. But try to take their beer, and they will run you through. In Avalan Hole, they drink to Charlie day and night. And to such one toast, my friends, I now heartily invite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king. And to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the kid who invented beer, beer, beer. Tilly beer, beer, beer. Tilly beer, beer, beer. A life bless Charlie Mops.
Everyone stomps and applauds, clinking their mugs in merriment. I can't deny the cat knows what he's doing. He brought everyone to their feet. Even halfway through the first line, most of the tavern joined in and drowned his sweet voice in a thunderous chorus. Damn. I exhale in amusement and rise up to my feet, clapping along the rest of the gathered. The bard takes a gracious bow, humbly sweeping his hat in front of the crowd, and the coins begin to rain. Everyone is taken in by his beautiful voice, wit and charm. I look to Rannoch, who's somewhat uninterested. That was amazing. It's rather good, don't you think?
I had a hard time understanding where either of them was singing.
Oh, cheer up. I poke him teasingly, he lightens up surprisingly fast. Don't you have a coin to spare? It doesn't have to be much. The wolf flicks me a copper penny and I grasp it, deciding to bring it to the cat personally. I approach him as the bard collects his pay from the floor and stashes it into the hat. Sorry if it's not much, I just wanted to give you my appreciation really. You sang beautifully. I mercifully pushes the hat in my direction without breaking the eye contact with the coins littering the floor. I shrug and decide to drop mine in. As it clinks with the others, he pulls back the hat and continues collecting his spoils. Every little bit counts, and it's not like I've invented the song. It's been around for much longer than anyone can remember. I don't think it matters. What matters is showmanship, and he lifted up everyone from the seats. Spoken like a true He cuts off as he finally comes to face me. His expression turns confusion. You speak Felinian, good sir? Pardon me? And my word, with Gedbury accent as well. Uncanny. Oh shit. Here we go again. How long did you live there? Lived where? Oh, Gedbury. I would recognise a fellow Gentian anywhere. You have me mistaken, sir. I've never been in those parts. I mumble awkwardly. He's the first other in this damn town that this happened with. I suppose it's because he's foreign. Huh, how odd. So, whereabouts did you live in Felinese? No, I meant the country as a whole. I've never stepped a foot inside your borders. Remarkable. You are an interesting person, good sir. I wonder if you'll do me the honour of sharing a drink with me. Shit. I go back to my table where Orak sits awaiting my return. I see you're engaged with one of those elusive Wolven folk. The cat croons, noticing where my gaze has ventured. Oh, which makes you even more intriguing in all honesty. Please, do me this favour as a token of your appreciation. He states pleasingly, picking up one of the coins from his hat. I shall buy us all around so we can drink to Charlie Mops, eh? Or what say you? To Charlie Mops, then? I concede to an amused nod and bop my head towards our table. The cat quickly folds his hat like a purse and follows behind.
What is he doing here?
The wolf mumbles uncomfortably, seeing the cat take a seat beside him. Be nice, Rannoch. He just wanted to join us at the table for a single drink.
You really are like fire to the moths.
The wolf grumbles, but I know he's not meaning it in a bad way. Ye gods, you're fluent in Wolven too. This evening keeps getting better and better. He looks around and waves towards one of the waitresses. Love, can I borrow you a moment? The plump tigress walks over to us and nods her head. Sure thing. What can I do you for? Have a round of your best ale. You do drink ale, right? Yes. I nod to him, then face the waitress. Although it's not too much trouble, my wolven companion likes to drink dark and robust brews. So you like a stout then? It's not much price difference. I'll charge you the same, cutie. Gotta keep that wonderful throat of yours well lubricated. The tigress winks at the bard and rushes off, while the cat gives me a wide smile. So you mastered Tigeri as well. My, you must have one heck of a story to tell. Not really. In fact, my whole life story lasts barely over 2 weeks. And most of it was getting stabbed, house chores, and making sausage. The plot thickens, and you claim not to be interested.
Wait, listen, Tigeri. You speak with him in the cat tongue?
Rannoch shakes his head in confusion and looks at me rather startled. Fuck. Didn't realize this was a multilingual three-way. Oh, gosh. Is there a problem? No, everything's fine. I smile awkwardly, not sure what's actually going on. Oh, what's this? The cat's nose twitches ever so slightly. I can see his pupils shrink to mere lines as he centers on the elaborate bottle. My, something smells quite alluring. Oh, it's Arquine. Oh, would you like to try it? I propose, to which the two black lines expand and shift to me. Really? That's such a royal treat. He twinkles his fingers. A proper form would dictate I refuse. But darn it all, I can't deny I've always wanted to try it. That's fine. Shall I have him fetch a cup for you? Away ahead of you, lad. The cat pulls out a flask from underneath his coat and removes the top, doubling as a metal shot glass. He passes it to me and I simply pour him the glimmering Arquine. He licks his lips as he brings the cup towards his muzzle, his whiskers bending forward ever so slightly and his eyes shine with wonder. I smile as the cat takes a reverent sip, followed by a thirstier gulp. By the light, what a delicacy! He shivers all over, drawing a reluctant laugh from me. Now that's a royal treat. Would you like some more? Offers the cap of his flask is rather small. Again, I should refuse, but I dare not to. Well, that's alright. I chuckle, pouring him another round. Just a bit of a warning, apparently can cause a faint glow in the eyes. You do realize you're talking to a cat. He smirks seductively, putting the brim of his hat down and causing his eyes to glimmer like 2 golden coins. Wow, that's amazing. Aghast, never seen such a thing before. Unless you count real cats. Real. Even thinking that sounds stupid as I'm staring down the eyes of an actual anthropomorphic feline. Delicious. He sighs in contentment, down in his chair and looking at us with a wide smile. I knew you were people of import. Regular folk don't get private alcoves at the stranded bard, nor do they feast on such exquisite vintage. I look to Rannoch with bolstered gratitude, as indeed this is an amazing treat he arranged for me. And all that in the middle of the night, right out our little spat. I don't deserve this, Wolf.
Don't take it the wrong way. I quite enjoy watching you befriend everyone we meet. I feel rather left out.
He mutters awkwardly, and I slap my forehead in embarrassment. Keeping these linguistic hijinks is getting really frustrating. Something's the matter? The cat darts his gazes between us. My companion only speaks Tigeri. That's not a problem, not at all. I'm happy to switch, it'll make me look less snobbish anyway. He replies without hesitation. I smile in gratitude. Thank you, you're awfully kind. I think we should stick to Tigeri from now on. You say that, but you keep speaking in Felinian. His expression slightly shifts and I feel cold sweat on my body. So I am, huh? I laugh nervously. How about now? Am I still speaking Felinian? Is this some sort of joke I'm too slow to get? Fuck, this is awkward. I don't know what to do.
And what's going on?
Rannoch knows my anxiety, most likely due to my slight increased heart rate. I don't control the language.
What?
I keep talking in Felinian. We tried switching Tigeri, but it's no effect. I say in as calm a manner as I can. Despite not understanding our exchange, it's clear the cat sees something as amiss.
Shit, he's a bard. If he finds out there's something strange about you, he'll never leave us alone.
What now? Everything's alright? I thought we would speak in Tigeri. The cat finally interrupts and I feel put on the spot. I only have no idea what the hell is going on, how my multilingual ability works. I feel very much rude speaking another language in front of either of them. As I'm pretty much stumped, Rannoch places the paw on my hand and says sternly,
"Get rid of him."
How? We just ordered a round of beer for us. The wolf pulls out a silver coin and flips it to me.
Give him that and tell him to fuck off.
That's a bit rude. I mumble, not very keen on the plan. The wolf sneers in annoyance.
How's that rude? He guzzled expensive wine, now he's getting a whole silver claw for simply sitting down with us.
I grimaced slightly, knowing full well there's not much else I can do. Mustering the most polite and apologetic smile I can, I addressed the cat. My companion says he's awfully sorry, but we've had a long journey and urgent business to attend to. He's offering us his apologies. We'll have to tend to our affairs. Well, I'm sorry to intrude. The bard responds abruptly, giving Rannoch a less favourable glance. Perhaps he assumed the wolf's being racist. Whatever his reasoning might be, the cat still takes the coin. Please thank your master for his generosity. He's not... I want to correct his wrong assumption, but he interrupts me. I'll be staying here for a few days. A cat of my travels has a keen sense of observation. I always know when I meet people of import, and you, my friend, are such. He states plainly, looking at me with a determined expression. It'll mean a great deal to me if you consider sitting down to a chat another time. I'm of no importance, I assure you. Maybe. The cat shrugs. And maybe my senses are right and I'll be singing about you in years to come. That would be the day. I chuckle. I believe I pegged you right. You've caught the eye of the owl as well. He smirks and nods towards the upper part of the inn, but I just brush it away. In any case, I shall leave you be. He bows gracefully and nods towards Rannoch. Again, thank your master for his generosity. I decided to ignore this last remark and just let the cat leave in peace. What was that about? The wolf asks as I exhale in frustration. He's rather full of himself. Sounds like someone I know. He winks at me teasingly. I thought you liked him. I did, but then he reminded me way too much of Tano. He's a bard. He knows his profession. And talking in riddles. I scoff, finally looking in the direction he previously nodded towards. What in the world? I gasp out, noticing an entire group of humans sit on the balcony overlooking the main hall. They're seated comfortably at a large table, getting honorary treatment from the staff. They look important. Immediately, one of them, a youth somewhat my age, zooms in on me with an equally surprised expression. What? Rannoch blinks, following my gaze to the upper story. Huh, when it rains. He smirks, but I shake my head. Not funny. Why are you so troubled? Do you recognize any of them? He asks between each mouthful from his plate. No, but somehow seeing other humans feels weird. I thought I'd never see any of my kind again. Never say never. The wolf flashes his brows and lifts his chalice in a gentle prompt. I grab mine and we clink them. Before taking a sip, I notice the youth still drilling their gaze into me. He grabs his own goblet and shyly raises it in a long-distance toast. I bop my glass politely and smile, looking back to Rannoch. This feels really weird. I thought you'd be relieved. I thought we should make an inquiry. They might know something. Like what? Something about your origin. I highly doubt that. I roll my eyes. There's no harm in asking. The wolf picks up a tablecloth and wipes up his muzzle before getting up. Where are you going? Well, to see if we could talk. We shouldn't bother them. I protest, grabbing the wolf's wrist. That seems like prime seating. They're important. So are we. We just spoke with the tiger who owns this whole place. He runs it at best. I correct him, still very much tugging at his wrist. Something tells me getting involved in that party upstairs is a bad idea. Perhaps some part of me worries there's an actual possibility those humans might recognize me and want to take me in. I fear Rannoch will be inclined to leave me in their care in such a scenario. Please, just leave it be? I mutter pleadingly. His gaze is still locked with the balcony. Thankfully, the waitress before arrives our drink order. I sigh in relief, poking the wolf and nodding towards the ale. Anything else I can help you with? Yes, me meet with human on the roof. I'm sorry? The female blinks in confusion, darting a gaze towards where Rannoch's pointing. Oh, I'm afraid that's not possible, my lord. Why, if on roof there is stair. They're dignitaries from the Broken Isles of the Sorcerer King himself, she mutters apologetically. They're on a carefully guided tour. Me just speak to humans. Not much time. That area is off limits, and I've strictly instructed not let them be disturbed. Please forgive me, lord, but I cannot help you. The female bows deeply and I pull on Rannoch's arm, finally forcing him to sit down. Seriously, it's not worth it. I don't feel like talking to a bunch of strangers.
But they might not be strangers.
The wolf insists, which I click my tongue in annoyance. They very much are to me. If I was someone they lost, they would have already come down to meet us.
What do you mean?
That kid up there, he's been making eye contact with me for a while now. I nod towards the balcony. Nothing too personal, just the same curiosity they sparked in me. Had he recognised me as one of their own, they'd fetch for me by now.
I guess.
The wolf sighs in resignation. Can we just enjoy a date without you looking for any chance to dump me? I snicker teasingly and the wolf matches my taunting expression.
Fine.
He concedes and picks up his mug.
In turn, you have to stop attracting all the strays.
He snorts.
They keep coming at you like bees to the honey.
What can I say? I'm just sweet and irresistible. I wink at him, drawing a happy tail wag, and we clink our mugs. We spend another hour or two finishing our meals and Arquine, simply enjoying each other's company. The cat even performs another song, an upbeat tune about a kin who made booze his lover. It's cheery and serves as a cautionary tale of relying on a substance to solve all the problems. It's undoubtedly proven its calling here, much to the lion's dismay. I make a few sporadical glance exchanges and faint toasts with the youth on the balcony. Seems to feel left out in all the spirited conversation at his table, so I decide to give him some long-distance company. Without words, we seem to be able to exchange our admiration towards the Philonean, while simultaneously trading frowns when the lion decides to attempt another historical ballad. Some people don't know when to quit. At one point, the youth even pokes a burly and handsome-looking man sitting on his right, pointing in my direction. I receive a rather disinterested nod of acknowledgement, and that is that. The confirmation we're not connected in any sort of way. I return to Rannoch and exchange our expressions of Strandbad thus far. Though still very proud to be a teen and wolf, his struggles and fails contain some amazement by what we have found here. No matter what anyone would want to say, Strandbad is simply mind-blowing. It's clear that Rannoch will want to bring some of it back home. No doubt there's be a new chief, no wolf will be better suited for the job than him. Time flies, and when Rannoch finally alerts me I have to fetch my sandals and retrieve the paperwork, I almost frown. Damn, it feels like we just got here. I hastily empty the last gulp of the Arquine and wipe my face as Rannoch gathers our things. There's something undeniably satisfying about going on a shopping expedition with your boyfriend, having him carry said shoppings and taking you out to fine dining. Oh no, am I turning into a mean girl? I chuckle internally as the wolf pays for our table and leads me towards the exit. I could stay here forever. I groan, hearing as the sound of music and laughter slowly fades behind me.
You don't say.
Rannoch muses teasingly and I snap out of it. Oh, don't you start that again. That was amazing. Oh, thank you so much. I embrace the wolf with little to no restraint. At first he's surprised and a little bit embarrassed. Most and none the passers-by even raises a brow at us. He relaxes and wraps his arms around me.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, Moondrop.
This was the best date I've ever been on. Even it might be the only one.
Well, I'm the best alpha and you're the best ward.
He winks teasingly.
We deserve nothing less.
Cheeky. I chuckle, snuggling into his chest.
Well, it's almost the 11th hour. We have a decision to make.
Oh? I mutter worriedly.
Should we spend another night here and depart in the morning, or snag a small bottle of wine at the farmer and depart immediately, spending the night at his?
Wait, so you're actually taking me back? I stop in my tracks and pulling away, looking to him with slight disbelief.
Well, I can't devise a way to leave you here without me having to worry about your safety. And since you've proven instrumental in securing those trade rights, I doubt Father could muster many arguments against you.
What about Vither? I cringe slightly, knowing he's the only obstacle we have left.
Vither has a lot of answering to do, both on account of his mission here and Cora's treatment. He makes displays of utter devotion to her, yet leaves the girl wholly deprived of any financial stability. He's the last person I need to take pointers from.
Rannoch scoffs, crossing his arms in annoyance. I can't help but smile at this slight shift, but still place my hand on his arm. No point getting all up in his business. I'm glad to see you developing a backbone. In any case, much as I love this town, I think we shouldn't tarry. I know because this mission is urgent, but also don't want to give you any time to get cold on your feet. I tease, poking him with the ribs, and the wolf snorts, leading us back towards Sloane's workshop. Welcome back, Mr. Future Chief. I assume the diplomatic mission was a failure?
You assume wrong.
Rannoch smiles with satisfaction. Why aren't you full of surprises?
Well, I can't take the full credit, though. None, in fact. It's all thanks to him.
He bobs his head towards me and she smiles in amusement. Yeah, that makes more sense. Having a token human hurt you when dealing with tigers does give you pity points.
It wasn't just pity. Caelan here is quite a sharp tool. Silver tongue, the magistrate called him.
Would you look at that? She gives me a joyful look, but quickly turns around and walks deep into her workshop. She returns momentarily with our order and bids me to join her inside. Let me show you how it's done. The female mutters and points to the stool. I sit down and take off my makeshift boots, tossing them to the side. Can I dispose of those for you? Yes, please. I nod eagerly, very keen to be getting some actual footwear. The sandals fit perfectly like snug slippers, and Sloane proceeds to lace the leather straps around my calves. As she does so, I keep sneaking glances towards the cobalt vest on display. They look good on you, she mutters, noticing my window shopping.
We'll take it.
Rannoch quips, drawing a shocked expression from my face. Don't even know how much it is.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Rannoch shrugs and Sloane laughs. If that's the case, I want 2 talents.
5 by me. I know you wouldn't screw over a fellow wolf.
Hello, wolf, you say? She snickers, stopping her task and looking at him challengingly. You're lucky I like you both. Wolves, I charge double.
Self-hating kin?
Rannoch raises his brow teasingly, to which she only snorts. A self-serving one for sure. Oh, what the heck. 1.5 talent. What makes you say I'm still like the wee fella? I nearly blush at the exchange and look down, watching her finish fastening my sandals. You secure them like so. She demonstrates the bow just beneath the back of my knee. The lace graciously curves around my calves, and I must say I feel pretty chic. I jump off the stool and pivot from one leg to another, much to Rannoch's approval.
I don't get it, but it looks good.
The wolf snorts, drawing an amused chuckle from the female. I'm the best for a reason. He gives her a handful of coins that clink in her paw while taking down the vest and presenting it to me. Well, thank you. I glide my hand across the glistening skin. It's beautiful.
Now you have several outfits to change into.
If you like, you could use my back room. Sloane points, but I shake my head. Now, we're still heading to the magistrate's palace. That tunic seems more appropriate. I'll change to the farmer's place. I say to Rannoch and the wolf nods.
Very well. Thank you again for all the work.
No problem. Don't forget Mr. Future Chief's successful diplomatic mission and you finally rule. I'd love to see some change if you manage to enact it. She teases and Rannoch only shakes his head.
You'll be the one I bring home first.
I'll count on it.
Well then, let's get our papers and be on our merry way.
I nod and happily skip through the street. Having actual shoes and hearing them softly tap against the cobblestone gives me immense satisfaction. And against all my fears, I'll soon be back home. Back at the cabin in the woods. There we go, that was the latest instalment of Far Beyond the World. Oh, one excellent song and one very bad song. I should say I was trying not to be too tuneful, and that tune was, can you call it a tune? That vague rhythm kind of dealy thing with the lion was totally improvised, I should say. Well, I'm not a musician, I can live with it. But Shady Vox was the voice of the bard when he was singing, and I'll put a link to his YouTube channel if you want to check it out. He's amazing, trust me. It's absolutely great performance there. I love it myself. So that is it. Let's see, coming up next we should have some more archers, and on the weekend there will be a new VN popping up, and as soon as I can find a moment I'm going to record the last day 9 for after class, and then we can do a premiere for that. I need to figure that one out before the end of the month, trust me on that one. I think everything should calm down after these few videos, so I hope you enjoy this. It's great fun as always to voice Rannoch and see what's going on with him and Kalen, or Sam, or what should we call him really? I never know. But there are links to all the Far Beyond the World stuff in the description as well, including Kale's Patreon if you want to help support the development of the VM. And speaking of Patreon, yes, that was a terrible segue, but I had to figure out some way to get here. Thanks to all my patrons and donors on Ko-fi, and as always, my top patrons are Aaron Fox, Dumbistachio, Exact, Monolay, Evan King, Marcus, Sindri Dragowolf, Kopi, Spiderling, Grizz, Dissonance, Nubis Silverwind, Ida Corval, Tiger Cub, Ryan Hall, Bastian, Larkesketon, Vesuksu, Gobas Vissa, Kartek, and Burnt Toast. Say thanks to them especially, and also all my patrons. I do very much appreciate all of you. And that's really all I have to say. So from me, that's bye for now until next time, and I'll leave you with a quick reprise of that song.
Beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. A long time ago, way back in history, when all there was to drink was nothing but cups of tea, along came a kin by the name of Charlie Mops, and he invented a wonderful drink and he made it out of hops. He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the kid who invented beer, 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 truly beer, beer, beer. The stranded bard, the journeys, and the royal inn as well. One thing you can be sure of, it's Charlie's beer they sell. So all ye lads and lasses, at 11 o'clock you stop. For 5 short seconds, remember Charlie Mops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the kid who invented beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. A bushel of hops, a barrel of malt, you stir it around with a stick. That sort of lubrication to make your engine tick. 40 pints of wallop a day will keep away the quacks. It's only 8 pence a pot and 1 per 6 in tax. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the kid who invented beer, 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 tiddly beer, beer, beer. All the kin love their trinkets, now that we know is true. But try to take their beer, and they will run you through. In Apple and Hull, they drink to Charlie day and night. And to such one toast, my friends, I now heartily invite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey! He must have been an emperor, a sultan, or a king, and to his praises we shall always sing. And look what he has done for us, he's filled us up with cheer. Life bless Charlie Mops, the kid who